and everyone's now out in the middle, so play will resume, and Joe Root hungry for more. Plays brilliantly, 132 not out. Moeen's 20. He plays some terrific shots too through the offside. For those 4 boundaries, lovely strokes. But, India need to rustle something up here because the deficit is only 50. And England will be looking to build the lead. Let's see how they go. There's still plenty of cricket left today. It'll probably finish around about 6:30, I'd imagine, if the light allows, and it's certainly the cloud very broken at the moment, so that should be fine. Bumrah's going to bowl the first over of this session, and he's bowling from the pavilion end. That predatory approach, striding first of all, or rather menacing. Now he bursts into life, bowls to Root, is full on the leg stump, turned away immediately, out towards the deep square leg boundary. They should get 2 here. As Shami picks up, wheels around, tosses the ball into Rishabh Pant, and there's 2 more to England, so 48 then is England's deficit now. Root 134. The lights are on in the pavilion, but perhaps they always are. There's 2 matching chandeliers there. Left hand side, ground floor, is the committee room, and there's a room called the writing room on the right hand side there. Bumrah's on his way, bowls, and that's flicked across his pad by Root, and the fielder there at mid-on does pretty well. It's Siraj who's had a lot to do bowling-wise, be able to dive there. And so it's 1 run, 317 for 5. Now, have they thought out a plan for Moeen, I wonder, during tea? See from the field placings. He's going to bowl round the wicket at him. No one going out at deep square leg, which I'm a little bit surprised about, because I thought that I think a short ball at Moeen's always a good option, but there's a long leg. Deep backward point, almost a square third man. 2 slips and a gully. Moeen's ready, sun shining. Bumrah again walks in, transfers the ball from hand to hand. In he comes now, rushing in, bowls to Moeen, and turns that ball away out to mid-wicket. Goes straight to the fielder, and there is no run. So it's some sort of award for the quiz winners. Andy, what do they apart from obviously the great kudos?
Yeah, just glory.
Just glory.
And legally enforceable bragging rights.
Yeah, that's probably enough. How many applicants do you have? You have to weed a few out. Not Bumrah. Round the wicket, bowls, Moeen allows that to go by.
I don't know how many cricket clubs there are in the country, but I assume about 98% of them have applied. All right. Checking with Adam Mountford there.
Yeah, good, right. There's some good questions in there. 317 for 5. Bumrah marches back. I think you missed the quiz, Mark, didn't you?
Very disappointing.
Quite challenging questions, yeah. Spready Spreadwell from Odium, was it? The groundsman cleaned up. Bumrah again bowls to Moeen, who stands up and defends and just plays the ball carefully out to mid-on. All the time in the world for England here. There's 37 overs left in the day. So, well, if you work it out, it's more or less getting round to 6:30, I think. The rate of 15 an hour. Not they actually bowl at 15 an hour, but they're supposed to. 317 for 5. Bumrah. Round the wicket to Moeen, forward. He wants a single there, then changes his mind. Shouts loudly no to Root, who I don't think was actually going anywhere anyway. At the end of the over, the first after tea. Slowly meandering back again from their interval breaks. A lot of people sitting out on the nursery ground behind us, just enjoying the scenery, enjoying the sunshine, just enjoying being here. Yeah, very peaceful atmosphere. Kohli's been very active with his bowling changes. Has been really rifling through his pack, Mark. Shami's going to bowl from the nursery end. So he's taken 1 for 87 so far from his 21 overs. Bumrah no wicket for 65 from his. Shami's on his way. Oh, now Root has done this again. He's just backpedaled at the last possible moment. And now he's explaining to Kohli why he did that. I must admit, it's not obvious, and Kohli doesn't look very pleased about this. I'm sure Shami isn't either. What caused that? He made some sort of gesture there to Kohli, just to explain what happened, but it was the last possible moment. In fact, Shami, he bowled the ball. What happened there? It makes the bowlers grumpy, that I can promise you. Come running in, done all the hard work, got to go and do it again. And goes Shami, bowls outside the off stump, run down to gully by Root.
It's not the first time this has happened, is it?
No, it's not.
Now, there were times, I remember on the Indian tour when Ashwin used to return and bowl, start his run up before the batter had settled. And
I think it's what it was.
I just wonder whether Shami had sort of just turned round, started running in, and Joe Root hadn't quite got settled in his crease, because he takes his time to look up, Joe Root.
Well, that's not the bowler's problem, is it?
No, it isn't, absolutely.
No, when the bowler's ready, he was supposed to run in and bowl. Shami bowls to Root, stands up and plays that into the offside. So I think you're right, because looking at the replay there, he was still looking down. And Shami runs a long way, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that he's on his way.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a responsibility, isn't it? As you rightly say, the batsman to be ready.
Yes.
You've got plenty of time with Shami walking back, 30 yards?
317 for 5. England trail by 47. Here's the next one that's pitched up and played down to mid-on. Root looks at his bat. I'm trying to think of who were the rather more notorious Australian. Tom Brooks. Does that name ring a bell? In the 70s. Brooks, umpire. Can you look him up? He was umpiring in a grade game that I played in. And he was a bit of a character, this fella. Aussie umpire. Still in test matches. Thought he was one of the Australian team, I think. He goes Shami, bowls, and that's played into the onside.
Are you questioning his neutrality?
Certainly not. He was a character, Tom. And he was standing in this game. Yeah, that's him. And a chap did that to me. I just let go of the ball and it hit the stumps. And the batsman in quite tough competitive Sydney grade cricket started to complain. Oh mate, I wasn't ready. Tom Briggs out. Literally, that's exactly what he said. But he gestured his way to the pavilion, and that was it. He saw him off. There's Shami bowling on off stump, and Root goes back, plays it into the offside. But if you listen to the Australian commentaries, did he stand the centenary test? Was there a chance? He was that senior an umpire. No messing. Just off you go, mate. That was the end of it.
He stood in 23 tests. 24, slight inconsistency in the cricket info pages. He did indeed stand in the centenary test. Played a little first-class cricket after the war as well as a player.
Yeah. He also stood in the Parramatta League match, whoever we were playing against. This is outside the off stump, steered away by Root for a single. It was called Cumberland in those days. It's become Parramatta now because, Parramatta has sort of swallowed up most of the west of Sydney, I think. But lovely cricket ground. Did you ever play any great cricket?
I was very lucky. Yeah, I played at North Melbourne in 1989. Had a very tough experience there, and then later on, in my mid-20s, I went to Perth and played for the university, which I absolutely loved. The weather was fantastic. Perth is a beautiful place. It was good competitive cricket, but I think as a player and as a person, I was a little bit more mature and ready for the competitive nature of Australian grade cricket.
They don't take any prisoners in there, do they?
Absolutely.
Who would have played with you at North Melbourne then?
North Melbourne was a fellow called Richard McCarthy, who was on the edge of the Victoria side.
Right.
But we had some dodgy covers, and it kept raining on a Friday night before the game on Saturday.
Here comes Bumrah, bowls to Root, starting a new over. And England's captain flicks that away to mid-on.
Yes.
Looks at his bat again. It is fiercely competitive. I was only very young when I played there, but God, he learnt a lot.
Well, I Clive Radley, when he heard that I was going to go out there, he said I'd be home in 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I managed to stick it out.
Stuck it out, good.
I had 6 innings before Christmas and didn't make double figures. It was very competitive.
Yeah, I guess humour wasn't very good. 318 for 5 is Bumrah. Bowls now a route forward, thick inside edge. Ball runs away into the leg side, go for a quick single. Well caught by Moeen. The throw hits the stumps, which hasn't happened much in this game. And there's run away now for an overthrow. They're appealing for a run out. There's no doubt the umpire, Richard Illingworth, will ask to see on a replay. But that's Akshar Patel running in there from square leg, who did hit the stumps direct. He's miles in. He's actually past the stumps when that throw hit. So a good single taken by Moeen, and then they responded quickly. The ball deflected away into the leg side, and they came back for another one. A bonus run, a second set today, actually, of those sort of things. But stumps repaired by Richard Illingworth, who's trotting back to his position. Yes, my first encounter of sledging was playing in the Melbourne District League.
Not from an umpire, I hope.
No, it wasn't from an umpire. I suppose it was typically Australian. He's Bumrah. Bowls, root defence. It was from a batsman, actually. Keith Stackpole, no less, who I since got on very, very well with. But he did give me some stick. The more angry I got, the further he hooked me. He was a terrific opening batsman, of course. Very good hooker. And he needled away, niggle, you know. Bang, bang, bang. We had a beer afterwards, got on fine, but I was a bit surprised at some of the language. 320 for 5, Bumrah. Over the wicket comes in Bowles, turned away out towards wide, bid on, and no, he can't get down there. Rather stiff Siraj, and rather chastened, has to head down to the boundary to go and throw the ball back again. Root takes 3. Horrible feeling as a bowler. You bowl all those overs. That was just stretching those hamstrings to bend to the right as it did so. Oh dear.
Of course, the angle you're going at there, you're running sort of downhill, so it's even further to get down to the ball. And Joe Root, again, lovely timing, using the pace so well.
Yep.
Of Bumrah.
Goes to 141 now. And Moeen Ali is over his bat. It's Bumrah. I'm stalking in. There now, bowls very short, very wide, and Pant has to fling himself there, full distance to his left. In fact, Kohli took cover at slip. Not quite a Harmison, but it was very wide. 323 for 5, trailed by 41. Sort of ball polishing going on. And, England losing the wickets of Bairstow, who got 50 odd and 57 in fact, and Butler 23 today. Bumrah strides in once again, bowls, and Moeen allows that to pass by the off stump, not by very far, and Bumrah's holding his head in his hands there as that goes flashing through. 323 for 5, Moeen Ali 20, Joe Root 141 on a very pleasant Saturday afternoon at Lord's. Good crowd, and a contented sounding crowd as well, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the contest. And Shami will continue from the nursery end. Will slowly return to him. Root looks around the field. Let's see if he's ready this time. Shami's almost waiting to make sure that he is. Now he's on his way. Root looks up, raises his bat, and Shami's there. Bowls over the wicket. Oh, beats him. And to beat somebody on 141 who's played as well as Root has done, that must have been a pretty decent ball. It just swung away enough. And Root's coming up and prodding at the pitch with his bat. It just moved away. Definitely beat him. It's no mean feat when someone's so well set.
I'm just thinking about Mohammad Shami. I mean, he's a class bowler, but he went for a few in the second innings, didn't he, at Trent Bridge, and here again he's going at 4 and over.
And he goes, bowls on middle and off, gets across in front of his stumps, Plays the ball to mid-wicket. He's got an attacking bowler. He's got a sort of an attacking sort of length, isn't he? A full length. Lovely bowler, isn't he? Just in swing, out swing, decent pace. Not very tall, like skiddy. And not being so tall means he's pitched that ball up a little bit more. He always has that yellow towel poking out from the waistband of his trousers. Number 11 he is, and he goes and bowls again. A ball that swings a long way. And Punt took that one-handed.
Shami in the first innings of the series 3 for 28 from 17 overs, but since then 2 for 160 from 38, so he's gone a 4.2 and over in the second innings at Nottingham and the first innings at Lord's combined.
He's slowly back and he's watching the replay of that one. So very nicely taken by Punt. Shami rushes in again, bowls to Root, is on the back foot, playing a defensive shot into the covers, so out to extra cover, and there's no run. There's a mass exodus from here, all heading off to the Oval. Tuffers and Vaughan with their 100 kits on.
Tuffers wasn't sure he would be able to adapt.
No, he's very worried,
so quickly,
wasn't he?
Yeah,
very worried.
Formats.
He's talked about the players not being able to adapt. Commentators do adapt, really. There's the next one, full, driven, nice stroke from Root. They'll take a single there, speculative throw misses the stumps from mid-off. 324 for 5. Therefore he'll be doing all his research now in the cab, won't he? No doubt. Mugging up. .324 for 5. Now Moeen on strike. So scored since tea. How many balls has he faced since tea?
Just 6.
Well, some gaps there for him. It's the last ball of the over. Shami moves in, bowls to Moeen. No, quite happy to defend that. Taking his time to get going again. Shami throws the ball away. 324 for 5. Moeen's got 20. Root has 142. More from Mark Ramprakash and then Simon Mann.
Well, just looking up at the scoreboard there, Joe Root 142 not out of 254 deliveries, and often it's talked about when openers play well that they're on the field a huge amount of time. Well, Joe Root was in fairly quickly at number 4, as he so often is. And it's a tremendous feat of physical fitness, motivation, concentration to be on the field for so long, both captaining his side in the field but also batting, playing a leading role.
Well, he's been magnificent today. England really fighting hard in this test match, only 40 behind now. They have exactly dominated the last 2 days, but really have forced their way strongly back into this match. Chance of a first innings lead. Here is Bumrah going into bowl to Root, and Root gets one that nips back and strikes him on the thigh pad, and the ball goes away into the offside, and there is no run. And first day, 276 for 3. It just felt like India had a real firm grip of the game, as England did in Chennai, the first innings of the first test then. And they did go on to make the most of it in that game. Got the runs that their first innings day foundation warranted, deserved. Here is Bumrah going into now to bowl to Root outside the off stump. No stroke from Root. I have to say, at the start of the day's play today, Andy Zaltzman, I said, what are England going to get today then? Well, you always like to start at the start of the day. What's going to happen today? What's your hunch? Zaltz said 440 for 7. Well, it's 324 for 5, and we're 20 minutes into the final session of the day, so still 33 overs left. I mean, if he gets it bang on, I think we can all just give up and go home. I mean, that would be remarkable. And here is Jasprit Bumrah to bowl to Root, wide of off stump, chopped away down towards deep backward point, and Root goes through for a single. It takes him to 143, and England to 325 for 5.
Talk about cricket's been described as a game of infinite possibility.
Yeah.
Particularly the longer formats. And I guess that was, one possibility was what's happened. That if they wouldn't take an early wicket, Bairstow would play well, Root would play well, Moeen would come in with a platform. We saw yesterday possibility of Rahul being out early changed the prospects for the day.
This is Bumrah round the wicket to bowl to Moeen Ali. Moeen gets one in the channel there outside the off stump. He leans forward and allows it to go through. What we have seen today is decent weather. The sun is out now and it's clear. It's a lovely clear afternoon. The sun has burnt off the cloud, and we all know this, Ramps, from your time playing here. I mean, when the sun shines in most places, it's much better for batting, or it feels better for batting.
Well, hence I think I enjoyed batting overseas more than in English conditions.
Jasprit Bumrah's bowling from the pavilion end. 2 slips and a gully in. Bumrah still looking for his first wicket in the match. Bowls down the leg side to Moeen. He lifts the arms high there to get out of the line of that ball. And it's through to wicketkeeper Pant, who dives away to his right. How many of your hundreds were in England? How many are abroad? Well, I mean, you played more in England. But
I don't know. I reckon the sun shone more in South London at the Oval than it did at Lord's.
Moeen waits. He had a very sketchy start, played and missed several times, and then unfurled a series of boundaries. Faces Bumrah and in with the angle there, but Moeen leaning forward and letting it go past his off stump through to Rishabh Pant. 3:25 for 5 at the end of the over. So 32 overs left in the day's play, and England closing in on India's 364, and they've got a little bit in their tail as well, with the lower order, if you like, with Curran and Robinson and Wood.
I have to say though, I've been so impressed with the way Moeen has gone about his business. I mean, even leaving the ball has been convincing. His defence, his body language, he looks calm at the crease. He's got 5 Test hundreds. I was a little bit surprised that he came in behind Jos Buttler. He's got double the amount of first-class runs than Jos Buttler. And he is, well, by trade, you'd say he's a top-order batsman. And remember that 100 he got against Sri Lanka on the last day of that Test match when he batted at number 6. He's got the temperament to bat long periods of time. I mean, look, he's only got 20 odd at the moment off 41 deliveries, but it's been convincing. It's looked like a Test batsman.
Well, it's going to be Jadeja to bowl from the nursery end. He's bowled 14 overs, 0 for 27, so he's been tidy so far without being particularly threatening, although he did get one to rip past Bairstow earlier today.
Well, 3 of Moeen's 500s have been scored at 7. He averages 35 at 7. In fact, he was batting 7 in that debut century. Buttler has a much better record at 6 than 7. You think, well, it shouldn't make that much difference. I know the psychology of batting positions are curious. That Jeff Boycott was much more effective at 2 than 1. Oddly.
Jadeja bowls and Root plays that quietly away into the offside towards extra cover. So do you always write down, if a batter faces the first ball, do you always write that down as 1 and then that's how you do it? Yeah. Forward goes Root, playing that into the offside towards extra cover, and there is no run. Jadeja bowls at quite a quick pace for a spin. He bowled at over 60 miles an hour. That's outside the off stump, chopped hard into the ground. It bounces over slip, goes down towards the short fine third area, and they come back for 2. That's good running from Root. Takes them to 145, and England to 327 for 5. The 2 players out today. Bairstow caught by Pant off Siraj just before the second new ball was available for 57, and then Buttler bowled by Ishant Sharma for 23. Last wicket going at 2.83. Forward goes Root, playing that defensively into the offside. And India have seen plenty of Root this year. Double 100 in Chennai, and looks as though he's got another big one on his mind here. It was a pretty big one already, but Jadeja bowls, Root stretches forward, Jadeja spins round to the umpire. There's just a feeling that might have hit Root on the pad before the bat. In any case, he was outside the line of off stump, which was obviously a deliberate ploy, getting that pad out and playing a shot as well. Jadeja, bright afternoon sunshine, nice and warm, bowls to Root. Root again to extra cover, and Jadeja is very quickly through another over, and it's 327.45 with Moeen Ali 20 and Root on 145.
So 31 overs for Jadeja in the series so far without a wicket. Jeff Boycott, I mentioned it. He averaged 43.9 as number 1, 55.2 as number 2. Played quite a lot in both positions. I don't know how you can explain whether there was anything in that. Might have just coincided with phases of his career. And Mark Taylor of Australia was another one who he was much better at 1 than 2. Fine player for Australia, averaged 52 at 1 and 36 at 2. Explain that, batting coach.
Well, thanks very much for that. Yeah. No, it's just a feel, isn't it? It's just a feel. Some people like to have a look and watch at the other end, the first over, and some people like to get in and face the first over, thinking they'll get a loosener and they'll get off the mark and off and running. Just, it depends how you view it.
It's going to be Bumrah to continue. 24th over, no wicket for 71. Goes in and bowls to Moeen, a short ball, ballooning through. Moeen barely has to move to avoid it. And it goes through to Rishabh Pant. The pitch has played pretty well today. And there is still enough there for the bomber. You can get the ball to go off the seam, and you've got the slope to work with as well. Not much spin for Jadeja. Hard work. Good batting conditions. Overheads have been favourable to the batters today. Remember, it was 207 for 10 day yesterday. Bumrah bowls, Moeen lets that go as much on length as the line over the top of off stump and through to Rishabh Pant. 327 for 5. So what have we had today? We've had over 200 for 2, isn't it today? 208 for 2 so far today. So very clearly a batting day. This is Bumrah around the wicket, bowls to Moeen. Moeen covers up to a ball on off stump, plays it out towards cover, and there is no run. Picked up by KL Rahul. And that was really the anomaly in a way, was what happened on the first day in those testing batting conditions.
The cricketers have their expected wickets metric, where based on the Hawkeye readings of each ball bowled, how many wickets you'd have expected to take, similar to the expected goals you see in football coverage. And in fact, their expected score for the day based on the balls bowled was 244 for 9.
Yeah.
So it's just England bowled quite well. India maybe had a little bit of luck and batted tremendously.
Moeen's unhappy about something. There's someone coming out of the long room, just to the left of the sight screen, and Bumrah's bowling round the wicket, so it's in his eye lines. Just held him up for a moment. Bumrah goes in, bowls to Moeen, close to off stump. There's no stroke from Moeen. Again, that was good judgment. Okay, it was going down the hill, but the angle in from Bumrah allowed that one to go by. Bumrah 9 wickets in the last match. Nothing so far. Andy Zaltzman came up with a stat saying that Bumrah had taken 7 wickets in his previous 4 test matches. And I put that to Jasprit Bumrah, and he said, "Oh, that's an Andy Zaltzman stat, isn't it? I'll brush that away." Bumrah bowls short and Moeen ducks underneath it, and it's through to Rishabh Pant. He said,
Did he really say that?
Yes, he did. He said, "You got that from Andy Zaltzman, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "Well, I've never thought much of him as a stats man. I've been taking wickets. I did well in Australia and the World Test Championship final. You can have a game that's a bit flat, wicketless, whatever. In the same way
still
as
a fact, though, wasn't it?
It was a fact, yeah." Bumrah moves in again to bowl to Moeen, and Moeen dabs into the offside. Bit of hesitation. They're off for a quick single. Shy at the stumps at Root's end, running to the danger end, the striker's end, but Root was quick. Moeen dabbed it and then almost looked up to say, "Do you want to come?" And Root said, "Yeah, fine, I'll have one there." It's quite tight, but they're through. Moeen gets his first run for a while.
First run since before tea.
Since tea, yeah. After over half an hour. 328 for 5. And England are 36 runs behind.
15 dot balls he played since tea before that. A little bit more on batting position, Simon.
Right.
Ian Botham. Where do you picture him in your fantasy batting order? Where's he batting?
What, does he bat at 5, 6, 7, 8, you mean?
Yeah.
I think he batted in his first test. He batted at 8, didn't he, I think? Against Australia. And he got up to number 5 eventually, and then dropped down again, began to drop down. But when he was perceived to be in his pomp as a batter, he was at 5 for England. So what are you saying? Where do you think he scored most successfully for England?
Yeah.
6.
Well, no, you think of him as a number 6, but he averaged 29 at 6, 53 at 5, 40 at 7.
Jadeja bowls. Moeen goes back, clips that on the bounce towards short leg.
David Gower, where do you picture him?
3.
3. Well, he played most at 4, but was more successful at 3 and 5 by about 10 runs per position.
Jadeja to Moeen. Moeen comes forward and blocks it back up the offside of the pitch.
Gower averaged 49 at 3, 38 at 4, 49 at number 5. Only scored 300s in 91 innings at number 4.
Jadeja over the wicket, bowls to Moeen. Moeen stretches forward, plays it towards straight mid-on. Kohli comes round to pick up. Jadeja bowling into what rough there is outside of Moeen's off stump, so he's got a little bit to work with. Goes in now and bowls to Moeen. He gets a full ball, which he scuffs back on the drive to Jadeja. Jadeja fields, no run. There's a short leg in and a slip. Jadeja again, bowls to Moeen, and there was a bit of bat and pad in that, I think, as he stretched forward. It dropped short of the short leg fielder, but into that rough outside the off stump. And that's what Jadeja has to work with. That did turn. Whether it actually clipped the inside edge, I'm not sure. It might just come off the pad. Moeen plays a dab sweep, gets it down fine, runs from here, probably 2. Fielder runs round from deep back with square leg. Siraj, and returns to punt. And Moeen does indeed come back for a second run. Takes him to 23 at the end of the over. 3:30 for 5. It's Saturday, the sun's out, so there must be bags of cricket going on. Royal London Cup. This is a knockout match. Yorkshire chasing 318 to beat Essex in the quarter-final. They're 119 for 6 in the 29th over. That's live on the BBC Sport website and app. So Alistair Cook's team going well there. And the final is at Trent Bridge. And he was saying how terribly he plays at Trent Bridge. Talk about batting positions, then grounds as well. He said, I never get a run at Trent Bridge. Anyway, they could be heading for the final. And the Oval Invincibles against the London Spirit double-header in the 100 is underway just across the river. There's coverage on BBC Two of that game. The women's game is on now, and men's game from 7 o'clock. And there's coverage on 5 Live Sports Extra when we finish here. And 2 of our team from here have headed across the river to the Oval to cover that game later. 3:30 for 5. Here is a new over, and the first ball of it is played defensively by Root back to Ishant Sharma, who picks up, and there is no run. Deep Dasgupta is alongside. This game has turned round, Deep.
Yes, I mean it has, and India seems to be a little under pressure now because the way the English batters are going, I mean they're looking so comfortable. It's like a little more defensive as far as India is concerned, trying to kind of stop the flow of runs and also trying to pick wickets at the same time. It's a bit of a conundrum for Virat Kohli. But it's becoming a very, very interesting game now.
England, are looking at, say, a first innings lead of what would they hope for from here? If they can, minimum 50, something like that. They might be a bit greedier than that. Here is Ishant bowling to Root outside the off stump, short and wide, and clattered away by Root towards deep backward point. Pujara is there, and Root gets another single. He moves to 146, and England to 331 for 5. So they're 33 runs behind, and unlike India, they do have some batting in the lower order. Although India did well enough at Trent Bridge. In the one innings we saw the lower order in operation.
Yeah, what I find a little surprising is that Indian bowlers really haven't bowled too many bounces to Moeen. Only last over Bumrah bowled a couple of them.
Here is Ishant Sharma bowling around the wicket to Moeen. Let's see if he's going to access the middle of the pitch. No, he doesn't. He bowls on a good length. Moeen stretches forward, plays it out to Rahul, who does a bit of keepy-uppy at cover. And there's no run, a bit of football. The Indians like their football, the Indian team?
Oh yeah. They warm up playing football. You also have something called the foot volley. So you actually play kind of volleyball with the foot, with the football. You have chairs in place of a net.
I suppose that stops the tackle, which can be deadly for players warming up for a day's play. Ishant goes into bowl to Moeen. That is a short ball, and Moeen plays it well. Just rocking back, bending at the knee, getting the chest out of the way of it, and the gloves as well.
Yeah, I remember Rohit missing out on a test match because morning, while warming up, they were playing football and he twisted his ankle. I think it was South Africa 2012 or something. And now there are also teams which play football and there's only 3 touches, right, to avoid, as you mentioned, tackles and stuff like that. But yeah, most of the teams, they actually do. I mean, even first class sides I'm talking about back in India, they do play football in the warm-ups.
Yeah. How many of the Indian football teams play cricket in the warm-ups? This is Ishant going in to bowl to Moeen, who guides that away with an open face to the left of backward point, or gully. Picks up a single, takes him to 24. Although I think was it the Tottenham players? They were playing cricket after training.
And Harry Kane's a cricket fan.
Yeah, it seems like they were here on the day of the European Championship final. They had the England team came out and had a tour of Lords.
I think Harlequins and Saracens used to play an annual cricket match from memory on rugby teams.
I've seen a picture of the English football team actually playing cricket. I think way back in the 70s or something.
That's well, I think before 1966 World Cup final team. They were
Bobby Moore and everyone.
Yeah,
else,
they played down at the Bank of England ground, which is that's where their training base was, and that's also a cricket ground, or used to be. I think it's being sort of bulldozed now. Ishant bowls, back cut or through the gully. Was that in the air? Was it a catch? It's going down towards the boundary. It's gone away for 4. It was deliberately played by Root, that back cut. It was in the air in that channel. It was not taken. But what it does do is take Root to 150. He's holding it all together again for England. His 11th score of 150 or more in Test cricket. And he's put England right back in this Test match. Another brilliant exhibition on a Saturday afternoon from the England captain.
So that's a lovely innings again, Joe Root. As you mentioned, 11th score of 150 plus for Joe Root in Test match cricket. Extremely comfortable. Made sure that not just him, but the team's in a very, very comfortable position right now. But the way he got to his 150 was a little streaky, though. It was a sharp chance, but a chance nonetheless for Rohit Sharma. Kali, I think, was expecting it on his right side, and he reacted that way, but didn't work. Was like I said, a really sharp chance, but a chance. And if you have to get somebody like Joe Root out, got to pick on those half chances.
New over, Jadeja bowls to Moeen. He clips it to mid-on for a single. It's 337 for 5. Here is Alison Mitchell.
Thank you, Simon. The crowd in today are seeing an England great, really, in Joe Root. Just a wonderful career, a wonderful year, an incredible year that he's having. Jadeja in, it goes back, flick it behind square, jog through for a single. I mean, to be at the ground yesterday and witness James Anderson take a fifer and raise the ball at Lords and get on the honours board once again, and then imagine if you had a ticket for yesterday and came back again today, and now you're seeing Joe Root reach 150 on this great ground. Here's Moeen Ali facing up, and Jadeja's over the wicket to him. Forward he comes, holds the ball back up the pitch, slip and short leg in place.
So there's a deep mid wicket and there's a mid on. What are the chances of Moeen Ali stepping out and going over mid wicket?
Oh, to defend then. The ball's rolled up by his feet. He's got hold of it and quite read it, I think.
There's a big shot coming.
It's quite a bit of turnout of those footholes, though. Quick at that time from Jadeja, flicked square, and a single taken. Moves him on to 26, 339, sorry, ahead of yourself, for 5, 25 behind.
Joe Root's 150 from 266 balls with his 13th 4. He's had his 11th 150 in Test. That ties Alistair Cook, most 150s for England.
It's Jadeja around the wicket now to Root. A little flick of the wrist to the onside, no run to end another rapid over. England stay 25 behind.
He was previously tied with Wally Hammond, Len Hutton and Kevin Peterson with 10 150s. So now joint top of the England list in terms of all-time the most. Sachin Tendulkar, 20 scores of 150 or more. So Joe Root's this 22nd century, so he's converted half of them into 150s. We talked through much of his career, the struggles to convert 50s into hundreds. Hundreds into 150s has been a speciality, particularly this year. 4 150 plus scores.
That's right. And of the hundreds that he has made this year, 2 of them have become doubles.
And his 4th 100 at Lords, and he's made 150 in all of them.
What a ground for him. Around the wicket now to left-handed Moeen, the bouncer, and he didn't need to duck much, just flexed the knees to get underneath it. Sharma from the pavilion end. But Moeen going along, 26 off 61, and the partnerships have been a key part of this innings, haven't they? Because this another 50-run stand, 56 they've put on together now after Root and Burns put on 85, 121 for the 4th wicket between Root and Bairstow, 54 between Root and Butler. So that's just what has built the innings. Partnerships so important in Test cricket. Yes, Joe Root has been the glue that's bound them all together, but he has had partners with him to put those 50-run stands together, which England has been lacking of late. Tall figure of Ishant in around the wicket again to Moeen, another short ball, another bouncer. But it doesn't really trouble him.
It doesn't, because it's way too high. I'm all right with that, but a couple of things which I would like to see is, one, Ishant Sharma is again going round the wicket. For me, I think he's better off if that's the target, or that's the game plan, then come over the wicket and do get a short leg in. Because at this point in time, he's got 3 fielders on the onside, a mid-on, a deep square leg in front of square, and a deep fine leg. Just get another fielder in there, closer to Moeen Ali, short leg or something.
Ishant running in now. Past the umpire, continuing around the wicket. That was a better bouncer. It had Moeen having to sink to his knees to evade it, and the ball skimming then over his helmet.
That's a much better directed bouncer. And you know what happens is, you put a short leg in there, and the batters also started to think about that fielder there. Obviously, he's pushing Moeen back again, and yeah, he needs to wait for that fuller delivery again. But the thing with Moeen is he gets a little too side on, maybe at times over side on. That's the reason he finds himself in an awkward position to play that short delivery.
25 behind England. Quite the day for them with the bat here. Bright sunshine at Lords, and Sharma, his hair flopping in. It's fuller to Moeen. Throw comes in from the boundary, back to the gloves of Rishabh Pant. England 340 for 5 and 24 behind. Got a healthy breeze blowing in the commentary box. Oh, that was off the pad, was it? No bat involved. Leg by signalled. So Moeen stays on 26. 340 for 5. Mentioning the fielding positions, Deep, we had an email in yesterday from George Messer. Michael and I had a little bit of chat about it at the time, because he's a relative newcomer to cricket. He's really fallen in love with it over the last couple of years, triggered by the 2019 World Cup, and he wanted some help in how to remember the names of the fielding positions. Sharma over the wicket here now to Root, bowling full inside edge onto knee, I think that is, because Joe Root is walking away from the stumps, flexing that left knee, giving it a little bit of a rub.
Yeah, that's painful. That's painful. That's inside edge off to his knee, and that's the area where there is no protection, isn't it? That's just between the thigh pad and the leg guard.
Yeah, it's not supposed to get in there, is it? So the flap of your pad is meant to be protecting that. But George sent a message saying thanks for reading out his email on air yesterday. Michael Vaughan was describing the fielding positions using a clock face, as Sharma is in now to Root outside the off stump. Lets it go through to Rishabh Pant, and it ends the over. 340 for 5, and still 24 behind England, creeping up on India's first innings total here. Root 151 not out. And I thought we need to just help George with actually remembering what those numbers are. Actually, how do you remember the field names? But it's actually quite logical, isn't it? Like when you think about it.
And it's very interesting. I tried to search the internet in terms of how did we get those names. For example, slip or a cover or point. And it's a really interesting read when you try and figure that out. I mean, a point was supposed to be a point which was perpendicular from the wicket and the bowler, right?
Okay, as Jadeja is in now to Moeen full, rolling the ball back up the pitch to the onside, the leg side, no run.
Yeah, so the point is named because of that. It's a Jadeja over.
Yeah, we might focus on Jadeja for the moment. Moeen forward into the offside. And the first thing I began with was simply how to remember the on and the offside. We spoke about briefly, didn't we, when you sat down. Jadeja over the wicket now. Forward is Moeen. Turn of the wrists. Rooks has gone through very quickly for that single. And Moeen has jogged down to the far end as the ball's picked up in the deep. But you can, first of all, it's just to divide the field into the offside and the onside, and the onside being the leg side. It's all relative to the batter to start with the fielding placements. Around the wicket now to Root, forward. Rolls the ball into the onside, and there's no run. And then the positionings, you can sort of work from there. As Jadeja is in again, forward, comes Root, head right over the ball, rolls it back up the pitch into the hands of Jadeja. And will bowl his last ball now to Root with a slip in place. And Root forward, incorrectly, very solidly, stays down low, see off the last ball of the over. So you can work from off and the onside, and then when you think of the positions mid-on and mid-off, so you know that on means a fielder that is on the leg side of the field. If you divide the field of play into two, the outfield into two halves. And then mid indicating how deep, the distance to the boundary. So you've got mid and then you've got long. And similarly, any description of deep, that indicates a fielder that's down near the boundary. A short something or other is going to be a fielder that is close to the batsman. Then you'll hear a description of a silly something or other, which is sort of easy to remember because you just think, well, that's stupid standing that close to the batsman, the batter.
Exactly.
So you can kind of work it a little bit like that. Square leg is exactly square on to
the leg side.
The batter on the leg side, exactly. But then there are some positions where it's a little bit more unfathomable if you just hear them. So slip.
Yeah, so the slip is, I believe, anything that the keeper would slip and can't reach, or it would get out of his hand, so maybe slip because of that. Then obviously point, as I mentioned, and then between slip and point there's a small place which is called gully.
The gully. As Ishant is in, new over, around the wicket, past the outside edge of Moeen's bat. Just hung it out a touch, through to Rishabh Pant, the keeper.
Right, and I believe in the olden times, predominantly most of the fielders were behind the stump, so there was only one fielder who would cover the whole area in front of point on the offside, so that's the cover region. So that's where you call the cover fielder. Then obviously, as you mentioned, mid-off, the name suggests, mid-path on the offside, mid-on, midway on the onside, mid-wicket, right in the middle of both the stump, the pitch. Yeah. But the only thing you got to remember, it's on the onside mid-wicket and covers is on the offside.
That's right. So what would be a pointer to remember that, as Ishant is in now, down the leg side, diving take by Rishabh Pant to his right, down that leg side. He held it well. Yeah. So how do you remember the mid-wicket is on the leg side if you're new to cricket?
I guess just follow cricket. That's all I'll say, George. Just keep watching cricket. Yeah, just keep listening to commentary. And watching cricket and playing cricket, not just watching, just go out there and play cricket as well, and you learn soon enough.
And the shots sometimes will follow the field position, so a cover drive is a drive which is aimed through the cover region, so through that offside out towards the boundary. And extra cover is cover, but a little further around in front of the batsman, a little bit extra. There's another bouncer, but it's again flown over the head of Moeen Ali, really dug in to the pitch.
For me, it's a failure of education. It's literally on the national curriculum. Oh, primary school kids, phonics, number bonds, fielding positions,
absolutely.
The big three.
You know, I wouldn't mind betting that the Chance to Shine programme has taken that kind of education into cricket. I think they've woven cricket into maths lessons, which is quite an easy fit.
got a partnership stat for you.
Oh, go on.
You mentioned 4 consecutive stands of 50 plus for the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th wickets for England. It's only the 9th time England have had 50 plus stands for the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th wickets in a test innings. Only the 3rd time at home, and it's only the 2nd time a team has done it at Lords. England did so against West Indies in 2007.
Well, it's a batting feast for England as Sharma is in outside the off stump, getting a little bit of a dabble from Moeen. He's tempted by that line, isn't he? It's a bit of a teaser from Ishant.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this over's been really good from Ishant. I mean, he's pitching it a little fuller, and obviously, I mean, the angle that he's got coming round the wicket. I mean, this is fine. If this is the length that he's going to bowl, coming round the wicket makes sense. But I would still want a forward short leg there for Moeen Ali. Even if he's bowling this length, even if he's trying to bowl fuller, get another short leg there, get another fielder on the onside.
No movement as of yet. There's a meeting, as you were saying, all that, between Kohli and Ishant. They're also looking up at the big screen and watching the replay of the previous delivery. They're seeing that ball angled in from around the wicket and how it...
Exactly.
He moved away.
Exactly, because he's bowling from the pavilion end. Obviously, the slope will take the ball away from Moeen Ali.
There are 3 slips in place still, and Sharma is in now. Ball's full edged and is taken by Virat Kohli. Well, whatever that conversation was, it worked. It was a little bit more of the same, and this time the edge of the bat was found. Kohli is held on, and the stand is broken. Moeen gone for 27, and England 341 for 6.
Oh, that's a wonderful catch. Diving low to his right, Virat Kohli in first slip. Wonderful, but I think the on-field umpire will go upstairs and the soft decision is out. So to overrule the on-field soft decision, there has to be conclusive evidence that the ball has been floored before it reached Virat.
Well, the crowd getting a look at this on the big screen. A healthy edge. And has it carried cleanly. Kohli had his back to us as he took it, and the camera view is from behind as well. Here's the front-on view.
Keep that going through, keep that going through.
I think you give it, don't you?
Just replay that again, please, thank you. If you just take that back a few frames, just want to see the fingers, make sure the fingers are underneath the ball. Thank you.
One thing we've got to remember when looking
keep it going in.
At those pictures, the pictures are two-dimensional.
Thank you. I've got fingers underneath the ball here. Soft signal is out. I'm going to make my decision for the big screen, please.
Yeah, Richard Kettleborough is satisfied. There's not enough there to suggest the ball really bounced into the hands. Kohli slid those fingers underneath. And so delight for the Indian supporters in the ground. Moeen Ali on his return to the side has batted well in partnership with Joe Root. 27 he's gone for off 72. And 27 maybe on the face of it perhaps doesn't maybe illustrate the value of his innings to forge that partnership with Root, but he's on his way back. And India have taken the 6th wicket. England are just 23 behind though.
Yeah, good time to take a wicket as far as India is concerned, because obviously this was looking dangerous, this partnership again. Moeen did really well, I thought, even though he did not get a big score, but as you mentioned, partnerships are so vital in any format of the game, and I think did really well to get England in a really strong position.
Yeah, 27 off at 72 balls for Moeen. It brings it Sam Curran out to the middle. But yeah, another healthy half-century stand. But yeah, Sam Curran, a dangerous batter.
Especially from an Indian perspective. I mean, 2018, I mean, I thought the difference predominantly was the runs that Sam Curran got that
more
series.
So than the bowling.
Yeah, more than the wickets that he took.
Yeah, we mentioned at Nottingham he had 2 half-centuries and a 40 in the 4th test as well in the game in Southampton. 3 innings in really difficult situations. Twice came in at 86 for 6 and turned those games with some bold attacking stroke play. The partnership between Moeen and Root, 58 from 19.50, so the last 4 partnerships, 85, 121, 54 and 58.
Yeah, that's what England have needed. It's what they've been crying out for in this batting lineup. Yes, they still found themselves 23 for 2 but Joe Root has been the thread, and yet he's had enough partners to keep the innings stitched together. So Sam Curran's doing a little bit of flexing and stretching before he faces his first ball. 3 slips will be behind him. And Mohammad Shami is not quite a backward point, sort of very wide, deep gully in a sense. Here is Sharma in now to Curran, edge.
Yes.
Oh, he's caught at second slip. It was a comfortable catch for Rohit Sharma. And Ishant has 2 in 2. We're going to have another hat-trick ball at Lord's, and this match has had another twist.
Wow, what a delivery again. Coming round the wicket to the left-handed Sam Curran, angling it in, going wide of the crease, and then after pitching, leaving Sam Curran just that bit, enough to get that outside edge, and a good catch by Rohit Sharma this time around. Comfortable height, comfortable pace to Rohit Sharma, and England lose their 7th with Sam Curran gone without opening his account. England are 341 for 7.
Goodness me. What is happening out there? How a game can suddenly swing, and you can just sense now with just the skip in the step from India and a bit more noise around Lord's. Crowd really coming alive. They've just watched Root batting serenely, partnerships building, and then suddenly bang bang, India feel they can really keep this lead down and potentially bowl England out with a very slender first innings lead even.
Absolutely, and that is going to be so important at this point in time. Yes, if India do concede the first innings lead, it's got to make sure that it's not a substantial first innings lead, because if that happens, then obviously India is under pressure then to stay alive in this game and to kind of save this game.
Well, it's been a match which has had swings and turns. Yesterday went one way then the other, sort of the counter punching and fall of Ollie Burns.
That's the whole series so far, isn't it? The whole series, even the first test match.
Well, the deficit is 23 at the moment. That was the last ball of the over, so Ishant Sharma's going to have to wait a little while, and the crowd will have to wait a little while for the hat-trick ball. It gives Andy a chance to look up the old stats for hat-tricks at Lord's.
Usually I have about a minute to do so. I've got a full over.
Luxury. Well, no,
only
it's Jadeja, I'm afraid. You've got about 80 seconds. Well, Ollie Robinson, is it, who's come out? Yes. Joins Joe Root. I think the big screen's got a little confused because that has flashed up hat-trick ball. But it will be Jadeja to bowl. Slip in place. Ishant, where is he? Fielding it deep square leg. He's there in front of the grandstand for the moment. But Joe Root is now facing Jadeja, who's bowling full to him, and he defends. Root is trying to re-establish an air of calmness about this England innings again.
It seems like what India is trying to do now is just give a single to Joe Root, get Ollie Robinson on strike now.
We'll let Robinson face the hat-trick ball as Jadeja is in. A little shorter that time. Just a cross route and straightened on him. A little ungainly as he defended that into the onside. Just that 4 wickets for... No, hang on. 3 wickets for Ishant. 1 for Shami, 2 for Siraj. Fuller again. Turn square into mid-wickets, does bring Robinson on strike and take the single. Rohit mid-wicket fields. 342 for 7. Robinson to face Jadeja. Takes guard.
That was a double wicket maiden, that last over.
Now, the field will come up for Robinson. There's a slip and short leg in place. And a backward point. Fielder at cover, short extra cover as well in the catching position. Mid-wicket there to take a catch too, and just outside the off stump. Bit of a dabble from Robinson, not really getting anywhere near into the gloves of Rishabh Pant. Just dropped it a little short at Jadeja. He goes again. 2 more balls to come. Shorter once more. Robinson defends back up the pitch.
Come on, spread the field now. Give a single to Ollie Robinson and make sure that he's on strike for the next over.
It hasn't happened, has it? Jadeja in, and Robinson defends, so it will be Root to face the hat-trick ball. They just missed a little trick there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, they would do that. Last couple of deliveries, as in the last 2 deliveries.
I mean, he might not have taken the single, of
might
course.
not have, but then from your end, you just try. Just make sure that Ollie Robinson's there for the hat-trick ball from Ishant Sharma, but at this point in time, it's going to be Joe Root batting on 152 who's on strike.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Andy, you've had your 80 seconds. What have you got?
Well, there have been 46 hat-tricks in Test cricket for India. Jasprit Bumrah took one in August 2019 against West Indies. Irfan Pathan against Pakistan in 2006, and Harbhajan Singh against Australia in 2001.
Well, Joe Root facing a hat-trick ball from Ishant Sharma with a catcher at mid-wicket. Sharma's in, turned down to fine leg by Root. Of course he does. He goes through for the single. He's on 151. He moves to 152. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. But at this point in time, and that's what you're looking at. You're just looking to open up the other end, which India has done with getting Moeen Ali's wicket, and then Sam Curran, now Ollie Robinson's on strike, and Ishant Sharma. This has been a good spell. He started the spell bowling those short deliveries to Moeen, and then moved to plan B, which was pitching fuller. And it has worked for him, pitching fuller and using the angle really well. Ishant Sharma to the left-handers, but now got Ollie Robinson, the right-hander, on strike. Got 2 slip, a gully and a point, and 4 fielders on the onside, including a short mid-wicket.
Ishant, lengthy run-up, comes in from the pavilion end to Robinson. He's defending fullish length, able to come forward. Defends solidly enough into that offside, no run.
He can bat, Ollie Robinson, isn't it? And he's a genuinely decent batter.
I mean, looking at England's lineup, they've just lost two wickets for no runs with the first baller for Sam Curran, but having on the face of it Moeen and Curran at 7 and 8, it's a lengthy batting lineup that England have. If it comes off, which is what you always say, that's what's been the problem with the top of the order. It's been such a problem. Robinson stands tall as Ishant is in. There's a good bouncer. He had to move his head very quickly out of the way of that one. Passed over his shoulder. A real twist of the neck. Well directed. A good battle this as well. Fast bowler to fast bowler.
That's right. When Ishant was out there batting, I remember, they bowled a few bounces to him, didn't they? It's payback time for Ishant.
And all fast bowlers wait for that moment when they can have the chance to try and get some sort of revenge.
Yeah, gone are the days when there was this fast bowlers code, right? You don't bowl bounces to each other. The fast bowlers union.
Probably exists off the field, it's fine, but definitely not on it. The deficit is 21 on first innings. Robinson facing up again to Ishant, who loses his run-up as he hasn't hurt himself. He got into his delivery stride into the leap at the crease, but then didn't go through with his action.
Maybe missed his mark, I guess, for the jump or something.
He's gone back and sort of looked at the footholes and looked at the crease as he's walking back to his mark now. Saying that, Joe Root then wanders out of his crease, does a little bit of prodding at the non-striker's end.
Something I mentioned yesterday was Ishant Sharma's record in first innings at Lords. Until 5 overs ago, he'd taken 1 for 348 in 96 overs and 5 balls in the first innings at Lords. Now he's taken 3 for 9 in his last 5 overs.
It's been quite a spell. And he comes to Robinson. Oh, he's driving, but it's an inside edge. It's managed to miss the stump, squirting away towards backward square, scampering through for 1. Again, you always say it could have gone anywhere off the inside edge.
It's suddenly the complexion of the game has changed, isn't it? I mean, it was only 5 overs ago where it seemed like nothing was happening when Moeen Ali was batting, and Joe Root obviously has been out there and looking as comfortable as ever. But suddenly in the last 2-3 overs, the whole complexion with a couple of wickets, and suddenly it seems like there's so much happening.
Yeah, what a glorious evening this is for batting. All of a sudden, the sun is out. This beautiful weather of the match so far.
They applied a good squeeze to Moeen after tea, 7 from 40 balls before the ball that dismissed him.
Yeah, that has put the squeeze on. Ishant to Root, full, turned it off his legs. Behind the square leg umpire, jogs through for 1. And you just feel, well, normal service has resumed when Root clips one away and jogs the single. He's on to 154 now. England 345 for 7. So they've just got Mark Wood and then James Anderson to come. 19 runs behind India's first innings. Only 364. And losing, remember, their last 7 wickets for 88 on day 2. And are hoping India to build a much bigger first innings than they managed. That was down to James Anderson, his 5-wicket haul. Ishant in again to Robinson, and turned to the leg side behind square. It was in the air off the bat momentarily, but always safe in that region. Chase back to be fielded, and he's picked up a leg by. 346 for 7 now.
It's not a bad result in the end. That single of the last delivery, that would mean Ollie Robinson's on strike for the next over, because at this point in time it seems like you've got to attack the other batter. I mean, at this point in time, that's what you do. You gotta make sure that the other batter is on strike as much as possible, and then it's going to be Jadeja bowling to Ollie Robinson, who's on strike. There's been a bit of a hint of spin, if I may say so, for Jadeja. The last few overs that he's bowled, he's obviously bowling from the nursery end, so he will get the help of the slope as well to take it away from the right-hander. A slip in position for Ollie Robinson and a silly point along with a catching covers. And as Agus walks in.
Yes, well, it's just turned around a bit, hasn't it? So perfectly poised this game. Robinson forward. It's fielded at silly point, so men around the bat. And Robinson on 1 not out. Jadeja floats it up to him. Stubbs drives it out to Kohli. Took that lovely slip catch. So low down at first slip. Which sparked that little mini collapse there. Jadeja again floats it up. Robinson forward. Certainly can't blame Curran either, I don't think. He had to play at that ball from Sharma. It just bounced a little bit. Moved down the slope. Second golden duck of the innings. Robinson forward now, turns one on the leg side. Root says yes, okay, we'll run. Picks up one to square leg. .347 for 7. Root 154. Jadeja again moves in bowls turn, and that's turned away into the leg side. No run taken. Robinson 2, Root 154. Sun shining, beating down now, quite low. Jadeja strides in. Bowls on leg stump, flicked away out to mid-wicket. That's again the end of a very quick over from Ravi Jadeja. Doesn't mess around at all, does he? There's 21 overs to go today.
Some of Ravi Jadeja's bowling. Curious figures, 20 overs. None for 37, but only 1 maiden. He's conceded 1 boundary. So he's kept control, but England just sort of milked him, hasn't created a wicket yet. Bowled 36 over in the series. Joe Root's innings. Rams could talk us through the art of batsmanship in this. In his first 50, took 82 balls with 7 fours, got to 147 more runs, moving from 53 to 100. Off 118 balls, only 2 fours. They moved to 150, 50 off 66 balls, only 4 fours. So between 50 and 150, just 24 runs in boundaries, but kept the rate going with masterful accumulation.
Well, I can talk batting all day, and especially when I'm watching Joe Root, because it's just been an absolute masterclass. I'd suggest those figures are probably due to how India have positioned their fielders, and sweepers have gone back. It's something we've seen probably in the last 15 years, where even in Test cricket, men go back quite quickly. In Asia, it's often to do with the spinners, and the left arm spinner will have a man back on the cut, and here we've seen deep square leg positioned as well.
Change of bowling. Siraj is back in the attack, and Robinson plays the first ball off the back foot to cover, and there's no run.
I think the key thing there is the batsman being prepared to be patient, and Joe Root, we saw him get a fantastic double hundred in New Zealand, and since then he's had quite a few big innings, and it seems to me that in the past he's wanted to play at a very quick tempo, but he's become more ruthless in recent times.
Siraj bowls, and Robinson's in on the pad. Appeal flag before wicket. Nothing from the umpire. Robinson doesn't look perturbed in the least. He turns his back on proceedings. I don't think Kohli either is interested in this, although Siraj is doing his best to try and persuade him. They've only got one review left. Kohli absolutely ignoring him there, arms folded at slip. And the timer ticks away up on the big screen. It's interesting how Kohli has switched his bowlers around at that end. And I think I'm right in saying that since the new ball was taken, 80 overs, no one's bowled more than 3 overs from that end in a spell. Siraj bowls. Oh, that goes. Oh, my word! How that missed the off stump, I don't know. It was low, came cutting back. Somehow the timber is still intact. Robinson's not quite sure how. And neither is Siraj, who ran away there, holding his head in his hands. Came a long way back. And also kept it terribly low. I mean, that really was an unplayable ball. And again, to make the point about England's second innings batting last, they don't want to see too many more of those. 347 for 7. Siraj again bowls to Robinson, who gets that away square for 4. Little bit of width. And he can bat. And he can give Joe Root some really valuable support here. Very good shot.
Not particularly in light of the previous delivery. Yes. He didn't get too perturbed by it. And you're right, it was a fraction of width there. And well put away in some style. He's got a big part to play here, because Joe Root continues to go on and on and on. And Joe Root was talking about some technical issues that he had sort of brought into his game a while back, watching Kane Williamson, but also that ruthless nature of going big.
Yep. Siraj bowls, hits again on the pad again. That looks a bit closer. Umpire's thinking about it, says no. Kohli, he just waved his arms there in dismay. He's still not going to review it. He reckons that was a bit high, looking at the signal there that he gave to the bowler. Cutting back again, and Robinson's doing some gardening. They're tapping at the pitch. So that wobble seam does cut a long way back.
That's a good shout. Yeah, I think you'd be shouting for that one, Ed.
I think so. It was certainly, I think, better than the previous one. But as we keep saying, these umpires are doing a sort of tremendous job. $351 for 7. England are 13 runs behind. Siraj, the afternoon sunshine, scurries in and bowls to Robinson. Again, he's hit on the pad. Another appeal for leg before wicket. And Kohli's begging this time. And this time Siraj really wants this. He's coming up. He's actually telling his captain here to review it. Well, I could see middle and off stumps here, I thought. Kohli's smiling. The clock's ticking. 3, 2, 1. No! And Siraj looks utterly heartbroken as his captain walked past him smiling. I thought it looked leg side again, Mark, but it's hard to tell from up here, from our position. But
well, we are right behind, and it doesn't strike me that Robinson is someone who gets way across his stumps. Having said that, I might have to reappraise.
That looked quite straight from the angle that we saw there. It wasn't directly behind. We'll see some more technology on this. I think here it comes. I think it's going down, I think. Umpire's call. Grazing the leg bail, really, the leg stump, the very top. I mean, umpires don't tend to give that out. But that was the best shout of the 3.
Brilliant bowling, good pace, bit of movement.
Now Jadeja bowls his left arm spin, Root is forward. Ball rolls up the pitch. Jadeja picks it up with his right hand. 351 for 7. Great contest this, because it's so evenly poised. England 13 behind, Root forward, plays out to mid-wicket. And as a bowler, you're just bursting to bowl at the tail ender, obviously. Giving Robertson absolutely everything. Jadeja, left arm round the wicket, tosses it, a low full toss, and Root puts it away for 4. That was a gift. And he just clipped that away through mid-wicket. A controlled shot. Try and hit it too hard. He's got a big smile on his face. I'm not surprised. That was a real gift.
Also, I think the mid-wicket had been moved squarer because Joe Root had got a lot of singles in that area, so they moved mid-wicket, leaving a hole, and Joe Root beautifully pierced the gap there.
Jadeja once more, who full, squeezed away into the leg side. 355 for 7. Robinson on 6, but Root on strike for now, and this one is also clipped away straight to mid-on. Remains on 158. There's 1 ball to go in this over. Root, I think, will try and get a single here if he possibly can. Jadeja tries to deny him. It's floated up. He drives to mid-off and then takes that single. So he'll be on strike. And keep Robinson away from Siraj. It's 356 for 7. Root now on 159. And that looks as if there's going to be a drinks break here. Good news for Sir Alistair Cook. He's part of the Essex side. They've beaten Yorkshire by 129 runs in today's Royal London One Day Cup quarter-final. Tomorrow's game, that's Surrey-Gloucestershire, is live on the BBC Sport website and app. And yeah, Cook is in good form at the moment. Good 100 of the day. 356 for 7. Drinks being taken. How many overs remain today?
18, so I won't get it. Might get them all.
Might get them.
Depends how much Jadeja bowls.
Depends how long the drinks break is too. It's pretty warm out there. And it's just a terrific game, this. Pitch not deteriorating too quickly, but that bounce is a bit of an issue, that low bounce. So that one that Siraj bowled in the previous over really just sort of rolled on the ground, really. But otherwise it doesn't seem to have deteriorated too much. It's slow and there's not much carry. I guess it'll spin a bit more as the match wears on, especially as the sun shines. The dust being swept up there by the ground staff, sweeping it away. So if it's the 100 you're after. It's underway now. There's coverage on BBC Two. So the women's game now, it's the Oval Invincibles against the London Spirit. So a local derby. The women's game's on now. The men's game is from 7 o'clock. And the coverage of that on 5 Live Sports Extra will follow our coverage from here at Lord's. As I mentioned earlier, the test is on the red button from 7 o'clock and also be on the BBC iPlayer. The actual BBC Two is really quite late tonight, around about midnight, but it is on the red button from 7. And if you press that, you'll see a lovely innings from Joe Root. This is very competitive cricket. See a really good catch from Virat Kohli. Root there having his back loosened up. Looks a bit stiff. Physio coming out and was lifting him off the ground and stretching his back.
According to the Cricinfo text commentary, all 3 LBW appeals were umpires called.
Oh, were they? Right. They all look the same. I assumed it was the same one being shown over and over again on our screen. So that was all 3 in succession. They were just identical, weren't they? All round about the same place. So the drinks break has been concluded, more or less. The umpires the last ones to break up. And Simon Mann is going to come in here. After thoughts from you, Mark?
Well, as we look out over the ground, sunshine, and the Indian fielders having a chat after a well-earned drink, and the footholes were being brushed and the lines being painted, and you do feel that Jadeja will have more and more of a bearing on this game from here on in. He's turned 1 or 2 sharply, but certainly to the left-hander, using the rough outside there off stump, he's a threat. And if England can get as many as they can, get a lead, the pressure then, of course, in the 3rd innings goes back onto the Indian team. I'm not sure how Jimmy Anderson will be feeling right now about the prospect of having a bowl again.
When did he last bowl? Yes, middle way through the afternoon. Well, he says he wants to get on the Lord's Honours board again, didn't he, earlier?
Well, he's in form, that's for sure.
3:56 for 7. It's a belting game, this. It really is. England 8 behind, 3 wickets left. Siraj bowls down the leg side and evades Pant off something from Root, pad, possibly bat. We'll wait and see. The throw comes in and they don't come back for a second. What is umpire Goff going to do? He's going to signal leg by. 3:57 for 7. Big crowd here on a Saturday enjoying it in the sunshine. My daughter's experiencing test match cricket today for the first time, teenager, and she said to my wife, who's here with her, when Root got his 100, what happens now? He's got his 100, what happens now? Here is Robinson on strike to Siraj. Siraj bowls and Robinson defends into the offside and there's no run. And my wife replied by saying, two dogs bring on a cup of tea for Joe Root. And she said, is that right? I think her cricket education needs stretching a little bit more, don't you?
First day of Test cricket as a teenager.
Yeah.
Brought my first child aged 4 months to Lords.
Wow.
Chandler Paul came into bat, she started crying.
Well, yeah. 3:57 for 7. Have they come again? Robinson on 6, Siraj bowls. Robinson drives towards mid-off and there's no run. Actually, it might have been second. I think they came to the oval once. No, that was a while back. But she's now of an age where, you know, she could follow the game. But I wonder what she's made of Root today. Well, it's been a masterclass. I mean, that's certainly the case. He's batted brilliantly. Here is Siraj bowling from the pavilion end into bowl to Robinson, and Robinson thinks about playing at that and then withdraws the bat inside the line, and it's through to Pant. It was the one thing you don't get today. If you go to a one-day match, obviously it's done in a day, but I mean there's such an exciting prospect in store for us tomorrow and the day after as well. The game is gradually moving forward, but it's relatively slowly. And that's the way with Test cricket, the unfolding chapters of the story. But it has been captivating enough for those who've been here today. Robinson on 6, and Robinson plays that into the onside towards mid-wicket, and there is no run. Spelled from Sharma, getting rid of Moeen and Curran in 2 balls, has dragged India right back into the match. But you're right, there's that third innings pressure. But if India were to score a decent amount in their second innings, then of course England will have the last day pressure, which they were able to cope with against New Zealand. Siraj bowls, struck on the pad, another shout for LBW, and this time he's given out. Well, he's asked many times, Siraj, and this time the finger has gone up from Michael Goff. He has reviewed it though. Again, it's another one of those that's quite tight to leg stump.
Original decision is out. It's a fair delivery. We can move on to front on spin vision, please.
Right, what are we seeing front on? I think that's going to be out, isn't it?
Okay, we're just going to need to see Ultra Edge on this, please, when available. Thank you.
Unless he's hit it.
Ultra Edge coming up now. Got a flat line as the ball goes past the bat. Flat line. Clearly no bat involved. We'll go to ball tracking when ready.
This looks promising for Siraj. It might be tight to leg stump again. It might be umpire's call, but he's got a bit to work with now. Now the umpire's given it out. Just loading the ball tracking. Oh, it's his umpire's call, yeah.
Pitching out.
Well, eventually.
Impacting line wickets is umpire's call.
I mean,
going to go back to Michael on field. You stay with your original decision. You're on camera now.
Well, that is no more or less out than the previous 3, is it?
So they were all a quarter out, so it adds up to 1 wicket.
No, I think that it's good bowling, good aggressive bowling, and the thing about that one is that it hit Robinson on his shin, left shin, front leg, but it rebounded out onto the offside, which means it's not like it hit the leg and rebounded out onto the leg side. So Although Robinson doesn't really get across his stumps particularly, I think probably Michael Goff was aware that the previous ones were hitting, and he's decided to give that one out. And I think it's a fair enough decision. I mean, it just looked out. And I know you can't give it out just on that basis, but reward for the bowler, I think, with his persistence.
I mean, presumably umpire Goff has seen the previous ones on the big screen, seen the umpire's call.
Yeah, I suspect so. Yeah.
And thought, well, those were umpire's call. They're hitting.
Yes.
That looks like ones I've turned down. And if those are umpire's call and the ball's hitting the stumps, perhaps up goes the finger. I don't know, but whether he'd given that one out in isolation, I'm not sure. Perhaps he would have done.
Well, it was a bit fuller to the previous ones. I mean, they hit Robinson higher up on the knee roll, maybe just above. So that one looked, was fuller, and really Robinson getting no movement forward out of the crease, just stuck on the crease a little bit.
3:57 for 8 is the score. So India are just ahead, and Wood comes to the crease. So Wood and Anderson and Root to try to fashion a lead here. What England have done today is stayed in the game. They've been 130 for 5 this morning, a couple of quick wickets, and India could have forged ahead, but they are right in the game with the prospect of a little bit of batting tonight. And that's been the key for India in this series. That opening partnership is what's held them together, really. Runs at the top. Not much from the rest so far. Some contribution. Jadeja, for example, a little bit from Pant. Here is Jadeja going into bowl to Root. He's 159 not out. The field is spread. We can have that cat and mouse cricket again, I think, where the main man stays on strike for most of the over. Here's Root bowling. Is he going to take the run? Yes, he does. It is Wood. I mean, it's Wood can bat, can't he? I mean, he's in at number 10, but he is capable. But like all lower order players, the start is the key. Those first few balls. Jadeja firing it into that front pad. 3:58 for 8. Root to 160. Root saying, well, I've got Wood with me. I'll take every run I possibly can. England 6 runs behind. Jadeja goes in and bowls to Wood, who leans forward. Root is down the pitch, anticipating a single there. Goes out towards deepish cover. There is no run. The last test I remember where scores were level on first innings was a game at Headingley between England and New Zealand, where both sides made 350. Jadeja bowls to Wood. Wood plays that away into the offside towards backward point. And there is no run. But it looks as if it's going to be pretty close on first innings here. Unless Wood can break free with Root. Jadeja bowls and Wood drives. Hit the silly point fielder. I was looking out towards extra cover, but it hit the fielder and bounced towards wicketkeeper Punt. And the field going back, just allowing Wood a single. They certainly don't want him to blast a 4 at the end of the over. Jadeja bowls to Wood, and Wood comes squeezing forward and plays that away into the offside. Well, they could have taken a single there. So Wood is sort of playing for Root, and Root saying, I'll take most of it. But Wood is a good enough player to take some of the bowling.
I think it's a tricky decision for Joe Root, actually, to navigate the rest of this innings with him at one end. He's not known for his big hitting, Joe Root. Obviously Siraj is in the middle of a very good spell and bowling very well, and clearly is a threat, but Mark Wood, as you rightly say, he's perfectly capable of playing a good hand. And will it upset Joe's rhythm if he doesn't take those runs? I sort of feel like to gain a good partnership, Joe needs to take those runs to keep his fluency going.
3:58 for 8, 6 behind. 17 overs left in the day's play, or 17 overs available. So the field's back for Root on an offside, deep backward point, deep backward square leg and fine leg. But most of the rest are up. Here is Siraj bowling to Root, who plays that away into the offside. Again, there was a big single there, but they decided not to take it at the start of the over. And now Rohit Sharma trots after it. This stage, this is where newcomers to cricket go, why are they not taking the run? Surely there's a big run there. I don't understand Root obviously wants to take most of the over. How does he play at the end? He might take a single off the third ball, and that would have 3. Here's Siraj bowling to Root. Root gets a thick inside edge on that. Goes out to deep square. They don't take it again.
I don't think you gain a lot by taking a single off the third ball. You know, if you're going to turn down singles, then you're waiting for the 5th and 6th ball to try and hit boundaries when the fielders come back up.
Well, that was the second ball of the over. 358 for 8. So you turn one down off the 4th ball as well, would you?
Well, it depends on your tactic. I would have taken the run there. I think Mark Wood is a good player.
Yeah. Siraj bustles in, bowls to Root. Root guides it away again into a single gap on the offside, but he again elects not to take it. I have to say, I find these passages of play the least interesting in Test cricket, where you've got a phony war going on for the first part of the over, and then the game's back on towards the end of the over. We saw it quite early on in India's innings when they were 7 down. Root 160 not out. Siraj bowls to him, and Root plays defensively into the offside up towards mid-off. And what does Kohli do here? He's bringing Pujara up from backward point, and he's bringing square leg up as well. So what does Root have? And that's the point. He's not a big shot maker.
No.
But then we saw Jadeja try the big shot and get himself out.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing, will he gain more by just playing conventionally and backing Mark Wood, or is he going to have a go at this 5th and 6th ball with all the men coming up now to save the single?
Does Root say he's happy for Wood to face Jadeja? And there's not such a big threat there, possibly. Siraj into bowl to Root, and Root clips that away straight to mid-wicket. Well, there was a bit of intent in that shot, but it was quite full and on the pads. 358 for 8. Out today for England, Bairstow 57, Butler 23, Moeen Ali 27, Curran 0, Robinson 6. So it has been the Root show again. There was that partnership with Bairstow of 121, the only player in England's first innings to make a half century apart from Root. Last ball of the over, Siraj bowls to Root, and Root dabs it away, and he can't get it away. It's picked up by Rohit Sharma to his right at 4 slip. What does Virat Kohli do here? Does he say, right, I'm going to whip Jadeja out of the attack, or does he feel quite confident that Jadeja can get through Wood? We'll see in a second.
That match you mentioned, England versus New Zealand at Headingley in 2015, when both sides made 350 in first innings, was the most recent of the 8 occasions on which teams have been tied after the first innings of a test. There's only been one other in England. That was the 3rd test against India at Edgbaston in 1986. India with a 2-0 lead in the series, chasing 390 each in the first innings. England set them 236 to win. They played out for a draw after a middle order collapse. The Brian Lara 375 match, both sides made 593 in first innings as England replied. I think hundreds from Atherton and Robin Smith.
Is that right? They were tied on first innings?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. In Lara, wow, it's funny, isn't it? Incredible. Long odds on that, wouldn't you? Both sides being tied on 593. 358 for 8. And yeah, they've whipped Jadeja out of the attack. And it's going to be Shami to bowl to Wood rather than Jadeja. Here is Shami then. The last hour of the day, goes in and bowls to Wood. It's down the leg side. Wood rather missed out there. Tried to flick it away and missed it. And it went through to Rishabh Pant. That's the sort of ball you want, really, as a lower order player. Something on the pads. Wasn't able to catch up with it. See, WinViz has appeared on our television screen. It has England at 42%, India at 34%, and the draw at 24%. Still could be a draw, this game. Here is Shami bowling to Wood. It's full. It's driven just short of cover. Aggressive shot from Wood. Bouncing a metre in front of KL Rahul in the covers. Wood will say, well, I very nearly hit that for 4. He did hit it well. Straight to the fielder. Deepdas Gupta is here, and this fascinating test match continues.
Absolutely, and I don't know, I mean, You mentioned those percentages. I think it's like 33, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Which way will the game break from here? It does feel like that. Here's Shami bowling wide of the crease to Wood, and there's a York, and Wood jams done it just in time. The ball runs away into the offside. It's picked up by Jadeja rushing in from a backward point, and there is no run. What India have done is got themselves right back in the game. It was 341 for 5, and at that stage you think, well, England had a chance of first innings lead of 50 or 60, which really could build the pressure on India.
No, that's true. From there on, I mean, it's still not over. 358 for 8, and India has struggled in the past, dislodging the lower order.
Shami to Wood. Wood has a big drive at that one. Well, it was full. It was there for the shot. Just played down the wrong line. Perhaps it went down the hill a fraction. I don't know, but it's a bit windy from Wood.
Yeah, he averages with 17 something.
He's not a bad player. He is capable of scoring some significant and quite quick, dangerous runs. He was quite a good hitter. And he started as a batter. You listen to him speak about his early career, his teenage years. He said, I was a batter who bowled medium pace. So, he does enjoy batting. Shami bowls to him, that's on the pads, that's an easy ball. He's hit that through mid-wicket for runs, probably 2. India have a fielder back on the deep forward square leg boundary. Ishant Sharma chases round and sends in the return. And Wood gets 2 for that, and it's 360 for 8. England are 4 runs behind.
Yeah, got to be careful here now, India. I mean, they've done well so far, as you mentioned, to get back into the game. But Mark Wood, what we've seen so far, I mean, he's looking all right. You've got Joe Root at the other end as well. So got to be a little careful, yeah.
This is Shami going into bowl to Wood. He's off the mark with those 2 runs. He lets that one go, and that was very close to off stump. And he let it go through to punt. He got away with it, and it means Root's on strike for the next over. It's 364. 8, England 4 behind. More from you, Andy Zaltzman, and then Alison Mitchell's coming in for the next 20 minutes or so.
The maiden that Mohammad Siraj bowled at Joe Root in the 119th over was the first maiden India have bowled at Root since the 58th over. 42 overs they bowled the first ball of the over to him, so they had 42 chances to bowl a maiden at him in between those 2.
Wow. But then that's how good Joe Root is in manipulating the field and rotating strike, and that's such an important facet of his game. It's not just about boundary hitting, it's just picking up those singles and 2s and rotating the strike, making sure you're not a sitting duck, so to say. You're always keeping the bowler busy, forcing him to change his plans. Now he's back on strike now, and so is Allison.
Hello Deep, evening everyone. Full from Siraj, whipped away down towards fine leg, and Shami is there to field. He leans down, picks up. It's just intelligent batting from Root, isn't it? Just a thinking cricketer. Looks so in control when he's in form like he is at the moment. Even now just trying to shepherd England up to India's total. Only 4 behind, 360 on the board. 2 wickets still in hand. Shadows lengthening. And Siraj comes in, forward defence, but struck on the pad. And now Siraj is interested again here. He's had quite a few LB shouts, and he once stood the finger go up from the umpire of late.
But the only difference this time is Joe Root is on strike and Virat has taken the referral.
That's why he's used it. He's been keeping it up his sleeve.
For LBW, original decision is not out. It's a fair delivery. If we could move on to front on spin vision, please.
Well, this so important if it goes India's way.
Okay, just take that back a couple of frames, please, then roll it forward.
Striking him on the knee roll.
Okay, we're going to need to see Ultra Edge, please, when available. Thank you. Ultra Edge coming through now. Keep it rolling through. Clearly pad first. No bat involved. We'll go to ball tracking when ready.
Well, this will be the answer.
Out. Oh!
It's
Pitch it
umpire's
outside
call.
off, impacting line, wickets is umpire's call.
Oh,
We go back
goodness
to
me.
Mike on field to stave your original decision. You're on camera now.
Oh, that's the last of India's reviews.
No, they still keep it
They
because
keep
it's
it, sorry, beg your
umpire's
pardon.
call.
Well, the theatre of Virat Kohli and the way he's been using these reviews. They've been waiting for it to be Joe Root, and the ball was clipping the top of the bails. Agony for Siraj as they watched it on the big screen. Kohli could not believe it.
He's bowled really well, especially this particular spell, hasn't he? He's been so good. Another off-cutter deceiving Joe Root this time around.
Root on 160, Siraj in full, just off his toes to short mid-wicket. And Jadeja is fielding. Score remains 360 for 8. Siraj, remember, is looking for his 5th wicket as well. And he only appeared on the test scene in Boxing Day Test in Melbourne when he made his debut at the end of last year, and then ended that Australian series with a maiden 5-wicket haul in Brisbane. But I mean, doing it here at Lords as well would be pretty special for him. And how special to get Root as well. But he's driving now to a full ball, doesn't quite time it, up to mid-off. Safely fielded and no run.
And especially on this surface, this is a really good batting surface. And he's bowled his heart out, Mohammad Siraj. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, if you think about it, he hasn't had any formal cricket training as such. Started off as a tennis ball player, as I've mentioned before. He only started playing proper cricket when he was maybe 17, 18 or something.
Yeah, remarkable. And straight into the IPL practically. Siraj in full with the wrists from Root, but well fielded, well stopped by Jadeja. Tumbles to the ground at short mid-wicket, saves runs. England's still 4 behind. Root wandering away from the crease. Swish of his bat. Wondering where he might eke out these next few runs from. One more ball to come from Siraj. It goes to show, though, doesn't it, that we don't have to. I mean, in India, there are lots of stories, aren't there, of cricketers who come in from unconventional routes. There doesn't seem to be a conventional route anymore. Siraj in, moving forward out of his crease. He's struck on the pad again, and Siraj spreads his arms out wide in aeroplane fashion. But he'd come forward on that occasion, Root. And I think that's probably more theatre than anything. No response from the umpire.
Yeah, I mean, that was more of, I don't know, hope, I guess, from Mohammad Siraj, because that was, the impact was outside off stump, was high as well, but he's really, really bowled well. Another good over from Mohammad Siraj. Again, that off cutter. Yeah, the impact maybe just outside off stump. Yeah, and Joe Root in the last couple of deliveries of the over was looking to get a boundary because the fielders came in.
And 2 consecutive maidens to Root now after that long gap between maidens to him.
Mark Wood is going to have to face up now to Mohammad Shami. 2 slips and the gully. Shami bounding in now. It's in a touch on Wood. Defends it to the offside. Finds a fielder. It's Shami hold today. He has been wicketless since he removed Rory Burns on the first night.
Yeah, he hasn't really looked in rhythm, hasn't he? I mean, generally, I mean, he's bowled well. I'm not saying he hasn't, but you know, you expect a little more from Shami.
Sets off into Wood inside the off stump. It steers out towards points and no run. Pigeon swooping across the commentary box.
It's nice and breezy.
It is. We're getting a lovely waft in from the height up here. Hopefully those in the stands either side of us with these elevated New Compton and Edrich stands as well are enjoying the evening sunshine and the breeze. The sun is bright. Floodlights are casting a lengthy shadow across from one side of the ground. Now, one of the 2 slips is being sent back deep, deeper than a fly slip. Pushed back to quite third, more finer than third, but here is Shami. Will it be a short ball? In now, it's bowling full. Oh, and it's gone through the gap where the fielder's just moved from.
Yeah, but I think that was an under edge. That was the Q end of the bat, and then wasn't really a catch. I don't think that was a catch, but I found it really surprising, as you mentioned. I mean, just not having another slip in there for someone like Mark Wood on strike. But yeah, gets a single and gets Joe Root back on strike now.
Now the fielder that was in the deep comes back to field at short mid-wicket for Root. Square leg back on the fence. Slip and gully. Deep backward point, and Shami is in again. Clipped off the pads behind square. Fine leg. Moves forward to field. And a gentle one. I'm quite happy for Mark Wood to face a couple of balls here from Shami at the end of the over.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they could have got the feelers up and you know, just made sure that Joe Root is on strike for the next few deliveries, so that he faces, and Mark Wood has to face Mohammad Siraj for the next over.
True.
We've got a couple of deliveries now.
Shami's given the ball a good rub on the back of his thigh. A bit of shine on one side, and he goes now. Wood facing up, and Shami gives him a bouncer. He swings him away, makes good contact out to deep mid-wicket, and they turn down the run, because that does leave Root down at that end to potentially face Siraj.
Right, so that just tells you that Joe Root is more comfortable with Mark Wood facing Mohammad Shami than Mohammad Siraj, and that's the reason I mentioned before the last delivery, that it would make more sense getting that feelers up and making sure that, you know, Joe Root's on strike for the rest of this over.
Got to do what the batsmen don't want to happen. Shami in again to Wood, full. He's defending it quite comfortably back up the pitch, and so it will be Joe Root to face up to Siraj once more. He's on 161, and Mark Wood 3 runs to his name. England are just 2 behind India's first innings now, 362 for 8. 13 overs left in the day. We can play till 6:30 p.m. local time, and the match is just wonderfully set up. You know, which way will it still go? The match will move at some point. Is it going to be England just eking out more runs and frustrating India? Will India conceivably could have a tricky little spell to bat late in the evening?
Absolutely yes. And that's the reason I think India is under pressure right now. I mean, so far it's been the openers doing bulk of the scoring, and obviously Jadeja coming at number 7. So yeah, it's not that the middle order has fired so far for India, so that would be the back of their mind as well.
Bit of a wait here, because I think Joe Root is waiting, I'm guessing, for the sight screen to be moved into place. He's happy now, and it's Siraj running in. Ball's full again, and Root gets right in behind it and targeting the stumps of Siraj. He's given Root a little bit of a glare in his follow through.
Root's got 334 runs in the series so far. This is his 3rd innings. Only one other England batsman scored more than 70 so far. Johnny Bairstow has 116 from his 3 innings.
Streets ahead. I mean, when you look at runs this calendar year in total, Root is streets ahead of the next best in the England lineup. Just an extraordinary run of form. How England have needed it. In again now, and Root forward. Could have taken a single, but in comes cover, and he says no to Mark Wood. So Siraj will come in again to him. It's been again a masterclass from the England captain. He's had batsmen to partner with him through this innings as well.
This calendar year so far, Root has 1,225 runs. Second best for England, Laurie Burns with 363.
Yeah, it's a fair difference, isn't it? Siraj in again, a little whip of the wrists from Joe Root, off his legs down to Shami, and the crowd are disappointed because he didn't take the single again.
He did think about it initially, Joe Root. It took a couple of strides towards the other end, but then chose not to take that single. Maybe from an England point of view, the right choice.
It starts to get interesting, doesn't it, about thinking of... I mean, first innings runs are going to be a high currency, aren't they?
Absolutely.
When it's this snip and tuck down to the last 2 wickets, even thinking about, well, how many can we get quickly and stick India in? It's just can we eke out a lead? And Siraj in, root forward, defends. It's a mid-off. No run.
And how many overs to go? Day 3?
11 after this, but only 39 minutes left, 38 minutes left.
I'm just thinking a little outside the box here. Now 2 overs for changeover.
Yeah.
Now you get those 2 runs, right? Get the first innings lead, and then maybe declare and put India into bat for the last 5-6 overs.
Siraj to root with the field up. Big clips it away past square leg for 4. Well, that takes England ahead of India on first innings. That is one hefty job done. Joe Root's 165 not out. England now into the lead by a slender 2 runs.
So that's what he was looking for in the last couple of overs as well, Joe Root. As soon as that field comes up, opens up a few more gaps, opens up scoring opportunities, especially boundary opportunities, and this time around, little too full on his pads. Yeah, Joe Root's not going to miss out on those.
Where does he go now? The field is still up. And Siraj comes in now, bowls full. On middle and off stump, defended up towards mid-off, so it'll be Wood facing up for the next over. England in front by 2. Do you think that'd be a possibility that they could actually declare? I mean, how much more would you gain, I suppose, by coming out 8 down? I mean, certainly if Root was to be dismissed.
Yeah. No, that's a fair call. That's a fair call. Now, my point is, what you need to weigh is how many runs, as you mentioned, you might get for these last 2 wickets. Is it going to be 20, 30, 40? If you have that kind of confidence that you might get another 70, 80 runs, that's a different thing. But if you're looking at 20 odd runs or something, then you might as well declare and put India into bat for the last 5-6 overs. That can be tricky.
Well, commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, digital radio, via the BBC Sport website and BBC Sounds app. Our Radio 4 long-wave listeners are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast.
Well, here's something to factor in. This is the first test in England in which both sides in their first innings have lasted 120 overs. The last one was against India at Trent Bridge in 2014. Maybe they're looking at that. They had a 10th wicket stand of 198 on that occasion, Root and Anderson.
I'm going to say, Anderson can certainly stick around. Wood is looking to do the same here. He's facing up to Bumrah, who's coming on from the nursery ends now, replacing Mohammad Shami.
Slightly more friendly pitch, but well, that'd be good tactics, wouldn't it? 198 stand for the 10th wicket at this point.
You'd take that, wouldn't you?
Well, that's a fair call then. If they think they can actually get that 50, 70 run lead, then they should go on and bat for as long as possible.
Yeah, very different proposition. India could, looking for the wickets here. Full, a low full tosses. I don't think it pitched in front of the bat. Ballooning up out towards gully. I mean, one of those where, if you're India, you want to be bowling England out and you want to be limiting this lead, but also you get to that point where I think, well, actually, how much do we want to come out and face a 10-minute spell? Exactly,
and I was about to say that if you're Rohit Sharma or KL Rahul, you're thinking, you know what, maybe not today. Don't give any runs. Maybe the next 8-9 overs, maiden 8-9 overs from here on. But let's bat tomorrow.
Bumrah over the wickets into Wood. He's defending outside the off stump. KL Rahul bends down to field. And how valuable his runs and his 100. It was a tremendous knock. It set the tone for India, and it laid down the gauntlet for what England had to do in reply. And that's a no ball signalled by the umpire. So Bumrah will bowl it again. One more for England's total. Root leaning on his bat handle, and Bumrah in now, angling in from the off stump, gently stroked into the offside. No run.
Looking good, Markpur, isn't he? I mean, he's technically looks very, very sound. He's playing like a proper batter, to be honest. So yeah,
he can play some stylish looking shots as well. A test 50 to his name.
True.
The deep square leg is moving back onto the fence in front of the grandstand, moving into full shadow on that side of the ground now, with the sun starting to sink lower as we approach 6 o'clock bright evening sunshine. Bumrah in, bouncer. He's dropped his hands, turned the head, evaded it safely and let the ball go through to Rishabh Pant.
That's like really good technique, isn't it, to leave that delivery. That's a good bouncer, well-directed bouncer. And as I speak, another no ball from Jasprit Bumrah. He's had this issue for a while now. And off late, especially this series. And he's bowled quite a few no balls, isn't he?
His 9th this innings.
Curious, isn't it? He has a shortish run up. I mean, he starts from a long way off and very short steps, stutters, gets into his stride, bouncer, top edge, loops over the vacant mid-wicket region. England lead by 5 at Lords. Welcome back to our Radio 4 long wave listeners. 369 for 8. And Mark Wood, that short ball taking on the pull, but dropping safely rather in no man's land at deep mid-wicket. Knowing the shot was on. Deep square leg was back on the fence, but not enough on it to bring danger.
And also, I don't think Ishant Sharma, who was there at deep square leg, did pick it up early enough.
And goes Bumrah again. How many runs can Root help to add here in this partnership? He's happy to defend. Ball of good length outside the off stump. The field is up for the last couple of balls of the over.
Now this is important. Yeah,
I made that Bumrah's 18th no ball of the series as well.
It's not just this test match, no. It just puts you off your rhythm, doesn't it? If you're not comfortable, confident in your run-up. Quite a few dark footmarks around the crease on the side of the wicket where Bumrah's bowling. Right arm over as he is now. More forceful defensive push from Joe Root out to KL Rahul at cover. Dot ball to end the over. 369 for 8. The lead remains 5.
And that would mean that Mark Wood would be on strike first up for another Siraj over.
Can Siraj fire himself up to angle some in, a few more short balls perhaps, try and maybe rattle Mark Wood. Pick himself up his fifer. He dismissed Sibley and Hamid, 2 in 2 balls. He was on the hat-trick ball, remember, and he dismissed Bairstow. Today it was a period after lunch when the tactic was to move to a short ball barrage, and Johnny Bairstow eventually went for the pull, a top edge to Kohli, but he'd already put on 121 with Joe Root for the 4th wicket at that stage. Wicket number 4 for Siraj was that of Ollie Robinson. And LBW, 2 slips for Mark Wood. Also 2 catches on the leg side. It's full inside edge onto pad, to the offside. Picked up and no run. Lead 5. Bit of movement in the crowd. Some people late in the day, maybe having trains to catch, but most people here sticking around to see how this last half hour of play here unfolds. England looking to eke out whatever lead they can at the moment. And however long Joe Root is there for, they will keep adding. He's keeping India at bay, as is Mark Wood. Siraj in now. Quick single taken, a little bit of hesitation from Wood initially as it came off the bat. Root called him through. And they've made it. Wood on to 5, 370 for 8. England's lead up to 6. Mark Grant Prakash has joined me. It's intriguing, this, isn't it? The wickets that fell quickly, the 2 in 2 balls, and Mark Wood now joining Root and starting to build a slender lead.
Yeah, it's real cat and mouse, and I wasn't sure about Joe Root's tactics, to be honest. He was turning down singles off Siraj, but it seems to be they've got a lot of respect for the way Siraj has been bowling.
Facing Siraj again now. Turned off the legs again, going very quickly Root for this first run because he wants 2. He wants to keep the strike. No. Oh, there could be a run out here. Oh, that's a shocker. Mark Wood has gone for the second. Root eventually said no. The throw went to the batsman's end, and Mark Wood is kept on running all the way back to the pavilion. And it had to be him. They needed to make sure it was Wood and not Root. And Virat Kohli looking a little bit disappointed that it isn't Joe Root they've managed to run out. But Wood removes his helmet. And Root set off so quickly for the first run, and then rather changed his mind. They're just checking, however. Wood has just paused inside the boundary. He'll be gone for 5, and another look at this. turned away off the legs. Root really got his head down for the first run. And then got about 2 or 3 paces, called no. Mark Wood just kept coming, and Root got back to ground his bats. And hence why Mark Wood is the man heading back.
Well, it's a shame for Mark Wood and for England as well. Mark Wood, I thought, shaped up really well there. He came in at number 10, but he's much better than that. But I think that run out is really a result of England's tactics and not maybe just being a bit too cute with the running. I think Joe Root turned down a number of singles previously off Siraj's bowling and didn't really take advantage of when the men came up in the 5th and 6th deliveries. We didn't really see too much of aggression. There was one boundary through the leg side, but there would have been some communication. When Joe Root clipped that ball out to deep square leg, he ran up the wicket very quickly and he probably would have been saying, looking for two. So Mark Wood may have interpreted that as, well, look, he's very likely to come. Very rare do you see 2 batsmen at one end and just Mark Wood just kept going. At no stage did he stop and look back.
Well, the crowd have livened up a bit because they see James Anderson walking out with a bat in his hand. Legend of the game with the ball, 5 wickets yesterday, get on the honours board, and a chance to see him come out, and he's played some very handy low order partnerships in his time, has James Anderson. Let's see how long he can stick around for with Joe Root, but also, as I said, interesting to see the extent to which Root looks to farm the strike, whether he looks to protect Anderson and from which bowler. But Anderson is going to be facing up to Siraj first up here. England are 9 down then. They lead by just 7. This is the last partnership for England. Joe Root's not out 166. 2 slips and a gully in place for the left-handed Anderson. Catches either side of the wicket. One fielder back at fine leg. So here is Siraj. He's looking for a 5 for himself. Around the wicket to Anderson, down the leg side, and Rishabh Pant stretching, spills it out of his gloves. They scamper one to get Root on strike. And byes signalled. Pushing it across the left-hander. A little pat on the back for Pant, in fact, but it was just one bye because it could have flown all the way down to the boundary. He got the very tips of his webbed gloves to that one. A little bit of a scramble to retrieve. So the lead is now 8. Now Root, look around, deep square leg being brought up. I think now, no, about 3/4 of the way back. And fine leg is back. A slip in a gully, a backward point cover. Mid-off, mid-wicket. Siraj over the wicket to the England captain. He's driving, one bounce though, and into the hands of short cover. And if he can drive and find some boundaries with the field up, that's what he's got to be looking to do. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, if this was Ben Stokes in this sort of position, he'd be lashing it over the top, wouldn't he? Or back over the bowler's head, or taking on the short ball. But Joe Root's not really got that sort of power game. We saw him try to walk across his stumps and flick Siraj over the leg side, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he views this last delivery, and maybe they might wait and attack from the other end.
Yeah, last ball of the over. Square leg has moved up, Siraj in, puts it away, and for 4, square of the wicket. So a boundary to extend the lead, which is now 12. This means that James Anderson will be on strike, 376 for 9.
Well, he may not have the power of Ben Stokes, but he's got timing, placement and an abundance of skill. This ball taken off, I would say, probably middle stump, flicked away behind square leg, beautifully controlled all along the ground. Very, very clever batting, and he 170 not out of 313 balls. It's been a magnificent innings.
Quite a mammoth knock, isn't it, from him? In the circumstances, facing such a deficit on first innings and uncertainty around the batting lineup, in England being 23 for 2 early on in the innings. And so partnerships have been key to England gaining parity with India. Jasprit Bumrah again from the nursery end. And James Anderson getting ready to face his first ball of Bumrah. 2 slips in the gully. Bumrah from the nursery end now. All crowd with their eyes trained on the action in the middle. Short ball fended away to gully. What does that come off? Now Bumrah is asking a question of the umpire because it went straight to the fielder. It came very high, but no real appeal from India. What's Bumrah asking for here? And surely there'll be a replay. Has it come off the helmet then? James Anderson's removed his helmet. That must have come straight off the lid. But India are looking very perplexed, as if they're not altogether convinced. It's going to bring the physio out to check on James Anderson. Here's the replay. This will tell us. Yeah, he's absolutely just turned his head. He raised that front arm high, which made it appear as if it could have come off the glove perhaps, but he's worn it right on almost on the badge.
Yeah, helmet peak. Yeah. And I think the bowler's just asking whether there was a bit of glove involved.
Doesn't appear to have brushed the glove on the way through to the helmet. The left hand came right off the bat. First thing is checking that Anderson is okay from the blow on the head. So that'll take a little bit of time. We'll be quizzed.
Quite suits India. A few minutes
in case they had
might need to
bat. A 10-minute change of ends, remember, as well. So as soon as we can hit the sort of 20 past the hour mark, then it would be close of play if the last wicket fell. The lead is 12. Joe Root, if you take the time perhaps to have a drink and a breather as well. But it was a fast and mean delivery for Anderson to get first up from Bumrah. Remember, you can watch the highlights from Lords. They'll be available from 7 p.m. on the BBC Red Button. So if you go to any BBC television channel, BBC One, BBC Two, you'll see the red button option pop up. So just hit the red button on your remote control and you'll be able to find the highlights programme. And then later on, it will be available on BBC iPlayer as well, and indeed on BBC Two from midnight tonight at 7 p.m. If you're watching BBC One, indeed, if you're watching the 100 on BBC Two and you want to have a look at the test highlights as well, you can hit the red button. We've got live cricket for you on the BBC. We've got the Royal London Cup been going on online by the BBC Sport website as well. And of course, us here at Lords, an awful lot of action, although in the middle at the moment, there's a lot of standing around going on. The physio is still there with James Anderson. Now, India are in a bit of a cluster, whiling away a little bit of time. But a moment perhaps just to reflect on Joe Root a little bit more, Mark, and how wonderful he was. Agaz is going to come in here to see through the last 20 minutes of the day, or however much longer play does go for. But Root has been absolutely magnificent for his 170 not out.
He has, and of course, marshalling his troops and managing to bowl India out. And then, of course, not much respite. A couple of quick wickets yesterday, and he was in at the crease once again with England under pressure and with the opposition with their tails up and with a relatively new ball. And he came in and looked pretty fluent from the start. And it's very unusual for a batsman, I think, to feel quite early in their innings that they're fluid, their feet are moving well, and they're in their rhythm and they're into their work quite quickly. Of course, Joe Root is such a great player that for him it must happen quite regularly. But for most mere mortals, I think they have to work at it. They have to spend some time at the crease, get the pace of the pitch, and then grow into their innings. But Joe Root has found his fluidity, played brilliantly at Trent Bridge, and again here he just seems to have carried on.
And we talked about it at Trent Bridge with the smile. He's just the pressure just seems to be off his shoulders now, and he's just loving playing, which is brilliant. 170 not out. Now Jimmy Anderson seems to be okay. The physio, I think, has packed his stuff up and he's going to make his way off the ground. It's a question of the helmet, I think, to see if Anderson needs a replacement. It was quite a crack on the helmet that he took, and with his gloves up, it did look for a moment as if he might have been caught in the gully, but there's none of that. It's gone straight from his helmet. He's got a smile on his face. waiting, I think, for that replacement. There are limited tickets available for tomorrow. The price details are on the Lord's website, and for the 5th day, £20 for adults and £10 for children, which seems a pretty good deal, because I think you'll see, or you could well see a really interesting final day to this match. England leading by 12 at the moment. Big day tomorrow, because I think the openers apart, none of India's batsmen could really claim to be in prime form at the moment, and England certainly have an opportunity. That's the last pair together. They might not get much more of a lead than this, but they do have a chance. And it's always tricky, that third innings in a test match. We've seen many games lost from apparently reasonably comfortable positions when they embark on that second innings, but you can mess it up, can't you? That bit of pressure and knowing that you've got to get a good score.
Well, I think India would have got 3-6-4 and felt pretty comfortable and not really thinking that they would be in a situation where they would come back under pressure in that regard. If they start their second innings and lose a couple early, absolutely, they'll be well aware of the fact of the importance, really, of negotiating the third innings and having to bat well in that third innings.
It's all taking a long time, and I think a helmet has now been brought out. Interesting things, because I can't imagine Jimmy Anderson's got too many helmets of his own in his bag. It's just full of boots. And those balls that we talk about that he keeps gathering for his fifers. So, but they are quite personal things in order to fit and to feel snug on your head and be the right size. And some people have bits of toweling in there and so on, just to absolutely make it a tight fit. And I'm not convinced, looking at the way he's putting that one on, that that's his at all, because he's having to adjust the strap. So I'm not sure where they found that from.
I'm not sure he's got any toweling in his helmet. That would suggest that it would be there to soak up a lot of perspiration from batting for long periods of time.
Yes. Well, I don't think that's his helmet at all. It's having to be adjusted. He's just making sure that it fits. A result from the Oval: Invincibles women have beaten London Spirit by 8 wickets, and that was live on BBC Two. And you can watch the men's game as well from 6:30. And there's commentary on Sports Extra when we finish here, and we'll be off air at about 6:45 from here. So that's how that will all pan out. So after that delay, which was quite lengthy, certainly 10 minutes or so, we're back in action again, and Bumrah is going to bowl round the wicket to Anderson. Off he goes and bowls another short ball, which he manages to keep out. It's a horrible one, homing in on his ribs, and he's just jabbed the bat at that, and the ball has trickled up the pitch, and now Root's coming down again. Nasty short ball from Bumrah, and that actually has thudded straight into his, he's got, I think, sort of chest pad there, but straight into his rib cage.
It sounded like chest pad. Now this tactics here, this is what the sort of way that Australia bowl to the lower order, very aggressive short balls at the body.
Man comes into backward short leg now, just behind square. It's Bumrah, wicketless so far. Needs to do something about his figures. In he goes again and bowls once again. It's short, fended away by Anderson. Ball bounces away. Had there been a short leg, it would have been caught. Bumrah made an effort there. The crowd don't like it. He's been hit on the head. Nasty one in the ribs. And now this one fended off the bat, a bit of glove. I think, given that a number 11 has been hit on the head, and quite a nasty blow as well, I think the umpires could say here, hang on a minute, let's just take this steady. Doesn't happen very often these days.
What are you suggesting there then, Nick, that Bumrah shouldn't be allowed to have a follow-up short ball there, or?
Well, he can have a follow-up short ball, but the number 11 has been hit on the head. The man just round the corner there waiting. It's going to be I suspect another short ball here, perhaps. Square legs going back a bit. Anderson waits. How many balls to go? Still 3 to go. Bumrah once again moves in, bowls another short ball, fends it away. The ball trickles away down to Rishabh Pant behind the stumps. 2 balls to go.
It's quick, aggressive stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And
that's a no ball too.
The last time I saw this sort of bowling was probably back in Jamaica when Walsh bowled at Devon Malcolm. A prolonged period of short balls at the body.
Well, I'll tell you when I last saw it, actually. It was at Gabba, bowling at Jake Ball. and that wasn't pleasant. I mean, you don't want to see people get hurt. 377 for 9. Anderson waits. Bumrah moves in once again. Bowls full and well played by Anderson, pushing it away into the offside as far as Siraj at backward point. 377 for 9. The England lead is 13. That was 92 miles an hour, that one. It was a fuller length ball. And I mean, they do have protection these days, helmets and chest guards and so on. But the fact that he was hit hard on the head just worries me a bit. He's waiting now as Bumrah moves in. There's still 2 balls to go. He bowls very full. Oh, well, he's just managed to keep that out. Bit of bat. He actually kicked it away in the end. Ball rolling back towards his stumps. And it's another no ball. What's that, 11? I think Bumrah's bowled. So, you know, again, make the point that he's been bowling these short balls, and some of them have been from a shorter range as well. Very well played by Anderson. Actually hit the middle of the bat. The ball then went into his right boot, and then from there rolled backwards. Just managed to kick it away. Bumrah again moves in, bowls another short ball, fended away by Anderson, one-handed. Well, Bumrah might be getting a bit back when he comes out to bat, that's for sure.
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, if you give it out, you have to take it. But that works both ways. Jimmy, of course, well, it's not that he bowls too many short balls at people, is it? He's a brilliant craftsman around the top of off stump. But I'm amazed that Virat Kohli hasn't got a short leg in. I think someone's running out of helmet now.
Yeah, they have to have a short leg. And Pujara's got all the kit apart from the helmet. No, I was thinking that Jimmy might have a quiet word with Mark Wood.
But it's what, as you rightly say, the Australians, when we went down to Australia the last time, they were very aggressive to our lower order, really made life very uncomfortable for them. And in some cases, it can affect their bowling.
So there is now a short leg and a man catching close in the offside. And from Bumrah's perspective, he's bowled them very well because they haven't been called one for the over. All been aimed around about the ribs, the armpit. And of course, the one that hit him on the head. 378 for 9. A long over this. It's taken about 15 minutes. Here's the last ball. Bumrah again bowls another bouncer wide outside the off stump, and Anderson simply watched it go flashing past. We've got to the end of the over and Anderson has survived. What a bravery there. It's not another no ball, is it? Oh, crikey, it is. And I think the person least pleased by that is Jimmy Anderson, who's got to face another one. These missiles are coming from Bumrah, overstepping too, and that one a clear no ball. Is landed on the line. Some of them have been a few inches over. So I think Anderson's saying to Pujara, it's all right, I don't really want this, don't forget it, I don't want a no ball. He's got another one to face. England lead by 15. I think Bumrah's pretty exhausted now, still looking for his first wicket. The 9th ball of the over. In he goes, bowls very full. Anderson keeps it out. The ball rolls away into the leg side. Kohli's appealing for something. And is this another one? There's another one! What an absurd over this is.
Means there's less than 10 minutes to go, so England can't now bowl even if this last wicket falls.
So this is going to be the 10th ball of the over. Now, there hasn't been a run scored off the bat. It's been hit on the head, hit in the ribs. Kohli passing something on there to Jimmy Anderson. He did this at Trent Bridge. We didn't work out what that was all about. Root standing helpless at the non-striker's end, and off we go again. Ball number 10. Thought that only happened in the 100. In goes Bumrah. Bowls very full, kept out by Anderson. And we all wait to see if that's it. Is that the end of the over? Umpire Illingworth's not sure. He's lingering. But I think that's okay. What an over. 10 balls. A concussion test. A rib tickler or two. And at the end of all that, it means that England lead by 16. And now another helmet's being brought out. don't think he wants that one. He's sticking with the original replacement.
Well, I don't know whether the Indian openers are actually quite happy that over took place, because it means they definitely don't have to bat again tonight.
Exactly. That must have been on their minds. How long did that over last for?
I don't know. It felt like about 45 minutes, didn't it?
Well, it did, but it wasn't. But it must have been 15. .380 for 9. Root's on strike. Siraj is on his way. Oh, he plays a little ramp shot. What a terrific stroke this is. Almost for 6. It landed just inside the boundary, literally about a foot inside the boundary below us. Got in position early. I mean, Siraj must have seen him getting into that position. And it's that cheeky little ramp shot. Brilliantly played. Wonderful execution of this brand new stroke, really, to cricket. Brought about by 2020. What a cheeky shot that is. The lead is 20. Third man has been positioned now, very fine, to prevent a repeat of that shot. The next one is smeared away out towards deep mid-wicket. There's a man out there who tries to take the catch and can't. And again, that landed just inside the boundary. Yeah, Joe Root's had enough here, and he's just taking him apart.
It's great to watch Joe Root getting deep in his crease there and picking up a good length delivery and depositing it down towards the tavern. And the fielder had a real good effort, full length dive in vain.
Great stuff. It's just bringing this really excellent day's cricket to a brilliant climax. Root looks around. He's on 178. And Siraj again, shadows lengthening, runs in and bowls to him. He plays a forward defensive shot. It's the most solid defensive shot you'll see. And the ball dribbles up the pitch. And if that was in the West Indies, you'd get a huge round of applause, because the West Indies supporters love that. They'd love to see, 6 being hit, and then the batsman get his head down and go boof. And there'd have been cheering, there'd have been music going. 388 for 9. Root's on 178. And Siraj again turns in the distance. Root taps at the crease. There's a shadow of the floodlight pylon absolutely over the stumps from our perspective as Siraj bowls a slower ball, and Root again on the front foot to strokes that away out into the covers. They will take a single with 2 balls to go. So Anderson in the firing line. And as we know, Siraj doesn't shy away from bowling a short ball or 2. What are we going to have? Well, there is a third man. Slips are forming. It's not necessarily the field for bumpers. Oh, here we go. Short legs coming in. Pujara being handed the helmet by his captain. And now will Siraj go over or round the wicket, I wonder. Midon's being moved round. Root, I think, is standing in the way there. Yes, he is, because Siraj is going to come round the wicket, so Root's going to go to the other side of the pitch. 389 for 9. England's lead is 25. And useful runs being added here. Anderson's got 2 balls to survive. Siraj on his way, bowls outside the off stump. Fiery ball, quite full though. And Anderson let it go through. He's got 1 ball to go. Goes for a stroll, going to visit Pujara there at short leg. I don't think they'll exchange a word necessarily. Just waiting for Siraj to start to come in again, showing 25 past 6. So, well, Bumrah to bowl next. I mean, goodness knows what time stumps will be if he bowls anything like the last one. Here's the last ball of the over. Siraj comes in, bowls outside the off stump, and Anderson lets it go through once again. That's the last we'll see of Siraj today, I think. Smiling towards Anderson, who's just managing a weak smile through his helmet grill there. He's really in the zone. And now Root will face what will, I suspect, be the last over of the day. Although actually Bumrah's coming off. And Mohammad Sami is going to bowl from this end with 4 minutes to go.
It's a 2-over spell from Bumrah, 0 for 7, a single, and 6 no balls.
Well, you don't see many 10-ball overs.
Yes, but he's been strangely out of sorts, hasn't he, Bumrah?
Yes.
Really, after getting the fiver at Trent Bridge and bowling very, very well indeed. This game, he's really not found his rhythm at all.
Root on strike, and what a field this is. We've got a long leg, deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on. In fact, the only person saving a single, if you like, is a slip. Everyone else is out in the deep. Third man, deep backward point, deep cover, long off, and Shami's on his way and bowls to Root as it returns that away into the leg side. Doesn't take a run. 3 minutes to go. Well, they're trying to work out how to get the ball back to the bowler because there's no one within range. So Rahul here at long on is waiting for Shami to get to the end of his run-up and then tosses the ball to him. And Shami again is on his way to Joe Root. He's there now, and Root comes forward. Pats the ball away into the offside. So every single Indian fielder, apart from Kohli, who's fielding at slip, is protecting the boundary. 389 for 9. England lead by 25. They had an excellent day today. It was on a bit of a knife edge this morning when they started out. Shami again runs in, bowls a low full toss. Root flicks him away into the leg side, but again won't run. Root started today on 48. And at the moment he's on 179 not out. He's faced 320 balls. And there's 3 more to go in this over, showing it's ticking towards 29 minutes past now, so this will be the last over of the day. Shami, shadow to his left, runs up and bowls, and Root again just tucks it away into the leg side. Now he'll take a single. So Anderson will have the last 2 balls of the day to face. He's not yet off the mark, so he's 13 balls. Root coming down saying, come on, one last effort, let's get through these. The short legs coming in. And Shami's going to go round the wicket by the look of it. Field comes in. It's 2 slips. Backward point, cover mid-off. And mid-on, mid-wicket, short leg. And a fine leg down there in the shadows of the pavilion. 2 balls remain. England are 390 for 9. Really setting up this test match today. Should have 2 really, really good days. Sunday and Monday. Shami's on his way. Bowls just short of a length, and Anderson prods that away. He wants a run. He wants to get off the mark. But Root says no. It's picked up at backward point. That's a no. It's a no ball. Oh dear. So how many of the team bowled now then, Andy?
That's the 17th.
It's very unusual these days.
30 by Bumrah.
Shami runs in, bowls to Anderson, wide of the off stump. He doesn't play a stroke. That's not a no ball. 1 to go. 391 for 9. Ball tossed away for Shami. Polished it on his trousers. I think he'll be pleased to get off the field. It's been a really hard day for India's bowlers today. They've all worked hard. Now here's the last ball of this 3rd day in bright sunshine. Shami runs in and bowls, and it's bowled him. Anderson's out. He'd turn round there just to survey the wreckage of his stumps. And Joe Root gets a slap on the back there from some of the Indians. Jasprit Bumrah goes up and says to Jimmy Anderson, I'm sorry about that. I suspect Jimmy said, thank you very much indeed, I'll see you later. That rattled into his off stump, he just missed a straight ball. He closed his eyes, you can hear him almost from here, cursing his bad luck. Kohli celebrates, and it means that India will start tomorrow with a bat in their hands. But let's hear the applause for Joe Root. Lead 27 as he leads everyone from the field, 180 not out. Wonderful innings, very well controlled innings. As you said, hardly a run scored straight down the ground. Turns around, waves towards the boxes where his families are. His parents are in one of the boxes there in the grandstand, and his wife and kids are in another box there with the other wives and girlfriends. So that's a lovely scene. 9,067 career runs now. He passed that 9,000 mark today.
It's his fourth score of 180 or more this year. Only three other players have achieved that: Mohammed Yusuf in 2006, Michael Clarke of Australia in 2012, and Brendan McCullum in 2014 for New Zealand.
That's quite something. And his stats, should we have those?
Yes, 180 from 321 balls with 18 fours. His 100 came from exactly 200 balls, so 80 from the last 121. His 22nd Test 100, his fifth of this year. One more will tie the England record for most Test centuries in the year, held by Michael Vaughan in 2002 and Dennis Compton in 1947.
So England 391 all out. They resume today on 119 for 3, and it gives them a lead of 27 runs, which, well, I think they'd have accepted that at the start of the day, if we're honest. They absolutely would. They were 245 runs behind then. So it's all set up for a two-innings Test match, really. I mean, they might nip one out, possibly, with that before India go into the lead. But a lot of pressure on India's batsmen tomorrow. And there's 2 days remaining. Well, it's going to go deep into the final day, one imagines.